Oh my God, y'all saw that, right? Wah, 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 wah. Oh, I'm dead.
Ooh, do we
Justin
have chat?
Justin will not be making it. Little Justin is having a rough time. So
Uh-oh. And it's Halloween weekend, which...
yeah, which I think is the cause of the rough time. I believe
Uh-oh.
his best friend ditched him for a girl.
Sorry.
And I'm like, well, I have mixed responses to this because
Wait,
I'm
isn't
like,
he like, what, 9?
welcome to
How,
the new world.
how old is Gavin?
He's 8 or 9, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Gotta start him young. Gotta start him
That's
young.
not... I have so many mixed
Oh,
feelings and questions about that.
yeah. I have a 5-year-old. I'm right there with
Right.
you. I'm like, no. We're gonna go to the fucking movie theater with me, and we're gonna watch Smallfoot again because that movie is fucking hilarious.
Smallfoot?
Have you not seen that? Or I guess you don't go to movie theaters.
I don't go to movies.
Smallfoot is
Hey, Prince.
like the God, what is it? Hotel Transylvania series. It's like that type of style. I think it's the same team.
Okay.
I think it's the same team that did that. They did it's a inverted story of the Bigfoot species and their response to the small feet, which are basically humans. They're like, oh, they don't exist, and then one of them like accidentally finds a Bigfoot, and it's like the two worlds like colliding. Because like the Bigfoot are all like, oh yeah, small feet, they're just made up. And all the humans, of course, are like, Sasquatch just made up. And then one of them, like, there's a plane crash in the Himalayas or whatever. And they fight, like, they run into each other. And it's just oh my God, it's amazing. It's really well done, actually. I went in, and it's always like, you go into those types of movies, and it's like either you're getting an environmentalist message shoved down your throat, or, you know, or it's
like
just...
Ferngully.
Yeah.
But Ferngully was a good... I liked Ferngully.
I
liked Ferngully because of the music.
I liked Ferngully up until probably about 3/4 of the way through. And like the last portion of it just was like it was like Captain Planet on steroids.
Right.
Like it was just it was too much. Like that was the problem for me. Was like up until like I think it was like up until like a 3/4 of the way through, I think it was about the point that they kind of like it was kind of teetering, and then they just were like, fuck it, we're gonna go full force, and just like you could just tell they're just like because I think that was when like
recycling.
Wasn't that when like they started like cutting down the entire forest or whatever, because there was something
that, and there was like an oil spill type thing going on around the time.
I'm like, oh my God. But other than that, no, I liked most of the concept of Ferngully. I freaking loved Robin Williams' character. Oh, Z, that sucks.
I'm sorry, he's sick.
But no, yeah. So like, I was afraid that that's what it was going to be like. It was going to be another one of those, and I was like, oh Christ, here we go. And it wasn't. Like, I mean, there was definitely a message of like, you know, hey, respect everybody, but it was more of like respect everyone even if they're different. Not like protect the environment. Though there was a bit of that, but it wasn't like the main message was, hey, everyone's unique, you know, so you get along or whatever, which I'm like, cool, that's fine. That's 100% acceptable. Not to mention there was like there was just so many freaking like little gags in there that were just hilarious. It was just, they had a screaming goat that was running around and just like yelling at things because it was in the Himalayas, so there were mountain goats all over the place. And there was this one goat that would just literally show up like out of nowhere and just like and then take off running. And it was like, what the
Beard.
Yeah, that was
I can't warlock.
Valdez. Yeah, no, that's not. I mean, it takes a lot of patience to floof.
It's not Fun. I'm trying to. Okay,
No, see,
I got
you
one
gotta,
kill so far.
you gotta spread your petticoats just the right way to get the air drift.
Petticoats?
Yeah.
Am I drifting? Or is this now Tokyo Drift?
No,
but it's
you
now
don't
Warlock
drift. That's not how you drift. What? What? No, this is like Mary Poppins on crack. Like you have to spread your petticoats, and that lets the wind. And then you smack them with your TARDIS umbrella.
What's terrifying is I'm second on the team right now, and I've gotten 1 kill as a Warlock. Apparently, Warlock easy mode, you're just put up at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, Pins, I don't know how she got from petticoats to Tokyo Drift. I'm completely confused.
You said drifting.
I said you spread your petticoats to catch the drift, not drift.
Phrasing.
It's the same concept of...
So funny. How to break blue in 30 seconds or less.
So my recommendation to you will be, when you are able to use it, use Burst Glide. In addition to that, make sure that when you go to actually glide, to double tap it really fast.
Like skating?
Just about, yeah, pretty well, almost all the time. That's how you wanna basically do the floof. What you will find though is that you also go faster during a jump if you allow yourself to kind of after you're done getting to the highest point in your jump, if you hit glide again, you'll actually kind of jaunt down towards the ground faster, but you're also moving a lot quicker besides. It's not quite Titan skating, but it is definitely a little bit of a burst of speed, which is very helpful.
Huh.
It's like falling with style.
Basically, yeah, it's using, as floofing is all about, it is using gravity to your advantage.
I will attempt to learn this.
It's basically, so like instead of using your full petticoats, you kind of like pat them down so that you fall faster. I'm totally going down. I'm just going to go with this metaphor that I've apparently started.
This Mary Poppins metaphor.
You're fucking Mary Poppins, okay? Just get over it. You have a TARDIS. You have a TARDIS and an umbrella.
Talking parrot. Like a parrot umbrella type thing. No. Have you ever listened to or read the original Mary Poppins books?
Yeah, it was a long time ago though. It was a lot.
It
was a lot more messed up than the movie.
Yeah. Where did he go? Apparently we're winning though. I don't know how. I'm not doing it. I'm kind of doing it. I'm like in 4th place right now. Because I don't know
how this works.
I'm just killing things and learning how to jump. That is all I'm doing. I'm not using my grenades. I haven't even popped my super, and I've had it for like the last 30 seconds. I'm just floofing and shooting. And desperately trying not to double tap my rolls. Because that's happened multiple times where I throw a rift instead of trying to dodge roll.
Mm-hmm. I do that still in Halo, to be honest. But thankfully, Halo has the jetpack, so it's not as bad. So like, I just like tap tap. I'm like, oh, okay, not Destiny. Got it.
Man, I really wish this hand cannon would load faster.
Has anyone found out? Are there official names for the last wish symbols? Or are they literally just leaving us up to making fish left 2 fish?
Well, we just call it whatever at this point.
Well, I'm fully aware of that. The Australians have a much better naming system.
Oh yeah, we've started calling them flying cunts and stuff like that too.
Because I saw that and I was like, yep, that's gonna be the new canon.
What is them like? Spear cunt, flying cunt,
yeah.
cunt going down. I mean, there's all sorts.
Double nope. The Australian naming convention. I saw that and I just died.
Yeah.
It's weird that they don't have like canon names though. But anyways,
They found the drifter plate finally.
which one's that one? Is that 10th?
Yeah.
So what does that
So
one do?
apparently you can actually get drifter dialogue in the raid like you do failsafe.
Okay,
Yeah, you
grants drifter dialogue. So we still don't know 15 though.
No, not that I know of. Drifter dialogue got found this weekend or like earlier this week.
Is he just like a commenter? It's not like.
Oh my
it's not like
god,
failsafe,
I'm so
right?
fast! Why am I so fast? Why am I so fast? What the frick?
What class are you on?
I used the solar class.
That's why.
You
I
might
was-
have had.
I was
You-
flying.
You might have had somebody. Oh, are you in
N-
super?
I was.
Oh,
just-
well, that's why you're fast.
Oh yeah,
because you're in
Dawnblade.
super.
Dawnblade's like freaking.
That's so dumb.
Dawnblade books.
Yeah.
Like you can be to the other side of the map without Titan skating at all.
Yeah.
In no time flat.
I see
I mean,
that.
like Dawnblade,
Yeah,
you
they
can't
move.
you can't outrun them as a hunter.
I
either.
No,
It's
you-
really
Yeah, I know.
really scary actually.
Nova works the
Titans-
same way right now, though.
yeah, Titans cannot outskate them. Nothing. And no, Nova Warp is nowhere near as fast as what that is. I'm
Well,
serious. When you
Nova
get
Warp.
Burst
Nova
Glide
Warp is
and
also
you
like.
start getting used to the way that Burst handles.
yeah.
Mhm.
No, there is no stopping you in terms of speed.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say because Nova Warp also is kind of wonky as far as aiming, if I remember. Right?
No, it is. It
Or
is
is it
the
super
other way
simple
around?
when it comes to aiming,
It's-
because I
it's-
think you're thinking of the Kamehameha, but when it comes to
Yeah. Okay.
The
the
yeah.
way
the
the
void.
way that when it
You just
comes
blow
to
up.
like Nova Warp is just I'm a black hole. I am the epicenter of. Let me go ahead and shoot this energy out at everything around me.
Nova Warp is essentially the teacher who's walking around the classroom and like stealth farting on everybody. It just blows everybody up.
Basically,
Oh my gosh. Same OP. The problem is you can actually block some of the knives for blade barrage.
You can technically
you-
block the Void Walker too.
I haven't seen somebody block that one. I haven't tried either, though.
Oh, you shoot it
Well,
out. You can shoot it out of the air.
the
Ah.
trick
Or the
is
Nova
that
Bomb.
you don't if you have a shield that's in front of you though and you're using a Nova Bomb, you don't hit the shield, you hit the ground.
Right.
Mm.
Hmm. The problem with the blade barrage though right now is it has the problem that tethers used to have, where
Yeah.
if you jump, you're gonna throw it into the ceiling.
Oh, dude, I haven't gotten it yet. So
It's so much fun, and I
I
have
got the new Void Night Stalker thing, and I was like, this is dumb.
Black Flag.
I'm going back to the
What?
bow.
What everybody has been saying about Nova Warp needing a nerf is what I have been saying about Titans and their fucking slam for the
Mhm.
last 4 years.
Yeah.
So, any and all Titans that are out there that say it needs a nerf, please go away. You are wrong. Check yourself, because I'm going to tell you now, you're wrong.
it
In
makes
addition to that, I have to charge it and stay mostly immobile and not be able to take advantage of Ultra Instinct the entire time that I am charging that thing. And no, it doesn't take long to charge, but it is still long enough that I can have a stupid hunter get off their golden knives that activate faster than my damn Nova Bomb does. So every single one of you that says it needs a nerf, learn to counter it and shut up.
The thing that always frustrated me with Titans is that you can't
Also, I love
If
you
you
all. I
j-
just
if
want to
you-
really state that for the fact now.
you jump above it. It's still like there's no drop off of the
No.
damage.
Well,
Sa-
and Titan
and it
is
makes-
very much the same. Like,
Yeah,
quite
that's
frankly.
like that's what I was saying. I was like, Titan always had that really weird. Even though you're
Yep.
slamming all that energy into the ground, it's just you're gonna be dead if you're straight above it too. You can't
Right.
dodge it.
Right.
Nova Warp makes sense to me because you're pulsing out
Hmm.
that, so it makes sense that it would be like you can't dodge it essentially.
Well, I've kind of akined it to the same way that that Fist of Havoc kind of works, because the difference is the difference obviously is that with Nova Warp you're able to stay on a level surface and kind of like move around and then be able to go ahead and pop it off. Meanwhile, with Fist of Havoc and the way that that works, you have to jump into the air and then fall down to make it have that really large slam.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, the drop time on it is ludicrously quick, and unless you're using like double blink or something like that, you're not getting it out of it that fast.
I
Like
haven't seen
it's.
too many use the Superman,
Hmm.
but is
Well,
that
I have, only because they're like, here the ridiculous thing about that. When they're in air, they have the option that they can then, instead of doing like a charge knee or shoulder charge,
mm-hmm.
they do a ground pound into the ground, and it hits for AoE. So for me, I'm looking at this thing going, oh yeah, because that needed to be like a different
Well,
animation
you
entirely.
have the like the mini Novas now.
Hmm.
Lux would kill us on on his team
But
constantly
the
with the
difference
stupid thing.
there is the fact that you're getting additional armor when you're using that move. I
Mm.
don't have additional armor when I'm charging a grenade, and I also lose mobility when I am charging said grenade.
Ah,
So there are several things that balance out when it comes down to that damage. They're all minute. They are all like half second to full second little bits and pieces that change in terms of how it handles. And it
mm-hmm.
does come down to the play style and how you decide to play. But quite frankly, I feel that this is the most balanced that everything has been, which is to say everything is OP and nothing is balanced.
Which I think is good. I actually don't mind it being a little broken right now.
Hmm.
Who was it? Oh my gosh. I about raged at Triple Wreck the other day when he tweeted out about how he basically started complaining about heavy in competitive and just quick play, even. Just how
And
often heavy is dropping.
the bit in quick play pissed me off the most. Like in competitive, I get it, but
Right.
now he's basically, all right. Here's the quick bit on T-Rec, because everybody knows I already don't like the guy to begin with. Uh, when when you start to complain that you want to go down to like a double primary system again and have that be your skill piece, guess what you're complaining for? Destiny 2 Year 1. This is what you already voiced that you didn't want to have happen. Get out. I
Yeah.
really think the guy just needs to stop playing the game, because he is not happy with anything they do.
I I think a lot he likes to give his opinion and he likes to be a voice in the community, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think that it's unfortunate that his platform allows him to actually be taken fairly seriously all the time.
Yeah, which unfortunately is not a good thing. Like, you
Yeah.
get all the people that just follow within mob mentality and they don't think for themselves or
I don't
sit
think
back and look
Triple's
over
a
everything
bad
play.
guy, like in and of
Well, it's the
himself.
same thing with MTashed, because I say the same thing about MTashed.
Oh,
MTashed is a
Imtra.
great guy, but when it comes down to his content and his opinion, he can sod off, because he doesn't
Imtash
seem
is he can be
he
a troll
really,
sometimes though.
yeah, it really just feels like he misses some stuff, or he's like really overlooking a few possibilities that exist. I know he means well, but perhaps the way that he needs to like change out or anything, like, yeah, I don't know. I get it. Like, I know everybody has their opinions about this game and the way they want it to play, but by the end of the day, Bungie is making it a certain way, and it is fitting much better now than it ever did in Destiny 1, Destiny 2 Year
Day 2,
1.
year 1.
And I would say that it's a little closer to the old days of either like End of Days Taken King, early Rise of Iron in a way. Because I really did like PvP in Rise of Iron days.
I was never paid attention to PvP. Like I enjoyed it, but I never really dug into it until I started playing with like Lux and Cole, who talk about it a lot. You guys ready for top 3?
Yes.
Top 3 Destiny memes.
Yep.
Cool. I am ready when you are then.
All right.
Yeah, I'm good whenever.
Got that. Okay, cool. All right.
Welcome to FFC Top 3, the show where we, your FFC hosts, count things down from 3 to number 1. Thank you for joining us this week. If you have a suggestion for a topic for Top 3, be sure to drop us a note on Twitter at FocusFireChat, in our Discord, or even email us at focusfirechat@gmail.com. This week, we are talking about Destiny memes. We're doing our top 3 Destiny memes, and just kind of a fun, silly one. I know there's a bunch out there, and I swear to goodness, if somebody does the one I think they're going to do, I may rage a little bit, but also be happy at the same time, because it's just like a love-hate relationship with that particular meme. But, Beard, would you like to go first this week?
With that minor field mind out there, don't misstep, Beard.
Who's going to make Green rage quit?
I mean, why wouldn't I make you rage quit?
Hey, be nice to me. I'm already playing Warlock for the first time ever.
Well, my first one actually, I think, goes towards what Bungie actually did in a bit of their own marketing, believe it or not. Actually, first off, I want to apologize for missing last week. Thank you guys for understanding and let me have a week off. Because I needed it big time.
Yeah.
I will also say that on the main show, but I'll get into a little bit then. But anyway, my number 3 would actually again go towards like some marketing that Bungie did, and it was the Japanese trailer that they did for Destiny 2, where they had the song.
Oh,
Did anybody see that with the dance off? That was
amazing.
That was amazing and hysterical and so mimetic all in one. Just brilliant little piece of marketing that they had there. And I think it is always worth bringing up, so I'm gonna make that my number 3.
Yeah, nice. It reminds me of like the Taken King trailer that came out that had which rock song was it?
It was Black Dog by
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin, I believe.
That was
yeah.
That was a real good one.
Or the OG trailer, way back for Destiny 1, where everyone was getting super hyped because they thought that we could play music through our ghosts because they were on the moon.
Oh, that would be cool.
They were on the moon,
Right.
and they were playing, oh God, what was it? I want to say it was an AC/DC song.
Probably
was,
like Hell's
yeah.
Bells or something like that.
It might have been Hell's Bells. Yeah, it was.
I'm
It
gonna
was
say
the
I
whole.
wanted to
How
say
about
Sabotage,
something classic?
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, that would have been brilliant if they would have allowed us to do that. Actually, they got ripped into. I forget who had done so, but for the marketing for having the music and everything the way that it was, I forget who got ripped into, but they did not like the way that marketing worked. And it turned out that was like the most watched trailer out of like all of Bungie's stuff.
That
which
one
is
and
funny.
the Jungle Book, Law of the Jungle.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
I'm
like
gonna say
that.
the Law of the Jungle one. That's
Oh,
that is
They
still
do
my
a real
favorite
good
trailer of
job
all
with
time.
their trailers. Like that's one thing they've got
Mhm.
down pat is their marketing ideas for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Blue, what's your number 3 meme?
Mine are actually, so most people know I really am a big fan of quotes. So mine are actually, majority of them, actually all of them are going to be like various quotes, but my number 3 is "Be brave." I think that is like, I love how in the world of Destiny they have taken to using that as a sign off for things. So like all of the Vanguard terminals and everything will be like, be brave, you know, like it's or be brave, Guardian, or whatever. And then
Devrim even says it at the end of one of the adventures on the EDZ.
Devrim will say it. Zavala says it quite a bit, which is, I mean, that makes sense. But I love that one. I think that's a great little like nod to one of the like core tenets of what they're trying to do with the Guardians.
Yeah. Mine is a little bit more cheeky, less serious.
This is also why I kind of went more serious, is because I figured I'm kind of sad Justin isn't able to make it, but
I know.
I'm gonna say you had him last week and you didn't have me last week. That was kind of funny.
I know.
No, my number 3 is actually from the Grimoire. It is the Traveler Googly Eyes. Because if you look up Traveler Googly Eyes, that is a thing now online. And that makes me so happy.
Rhino. Good job, Rhino.
I have a friend when I was teaching who would put googly eyes on everything. She thought it was hilarious. Like she would God, why am I blanking on the name? When you humanize something that is not human.
Anthropomorphize.
Thank you. She would do that to everything. So everything had googly eyes and was staring at you when you walked into her classroom. And it's like that's a low-key version of telling the students that she's always watching.
That's like Ann Wheaton. Ann Wheaton and oh gosh,
with
what's Bonnie? They like Bonnie Burton, I want to say. I don't think that's her last name, but she's another one of the writers who do kind of that review stuff. And they like every time they go to conventions, Ann Wheaton apparently has the exact same habit. Like she will bring like literal trash bags, like big 30-gallon trash bags full of googly eyes, and they just Google eyes everything, which is a really weird word to say. Google eyes. You googly eyed it. Oh my gosh, yeah. So like, and she gets in trouble when she's not even been somewhere because someone will take a picture of someone had Google-eyed the something and they're like, and she's like, I wasn't even there.
She always, like when she's on tabletop with Will.
Oh yeah,
she'll trash the background with them. Everything's covered in them, and it's just like, all right, guys, wow. Yeah, the Traveler Googly Eyes is my number 3 for sure, just because I cannot believe that somebody decided that this is going to be a literal search term that they're going to make sure that all of them pop up. Beard, number 2, though.
Yeah, I mean, I can honestly quote like I didn't know what this week's topic was, like full disclosure, until like earlier on, and I didn't get a lot of time to think about it because my sister's visiting for the week. And I've been like racking my brain here trying to think. Like, all right, so we could just have like a blanket one, to be honest. Like, how many of the big ones are out there? Like, whether we wanted it or not, we stepped into war with the Cabal on Mars. Anyway,
that was the one that I warned about.
That you warned everybody about.
That's the one. Yeah. That's the one that, like, mainly because of Anna Bray on Twitter. She trolls everybody with it.
Well, like how many different ways can you like change that one up? I did when that stupid rabbit with the sign was a thing. I made that into something, and I said like, whether we wanted it or not, this meme will not die.
Right.
And the question is, which one is it that's not going to die? Obviously, the rabbit didn't last as long as I thought it was going to. The other piece, then, like I think I've seen DMG and a few others do it differently. We also had somebody that went for, I think it was almost an entire month, and made sure that all of his tweets.
Oh, that was Ishtar Commander
with the.
Yeah, I think so. That was impressive as hell.
That was. So he actually went and he took that entire phrase, and he started off with like whether, and then the next one was we, and then the next one was wanted. But he typed out an entire tweet set like over the course of a month or something like that, and each and every tweet was the next word in the phrase, or at least started with the next word in the phrase. But it was still a cohesive tweet.
Wow.
But
I
yeah, if
can't
you go
remember. I
back,
can't remember if it was Commander or Dim. Now that I'm
I
thinking
cannot.
about it, because like Dim, I'm pretty sure it was one of them. Also did the first letter. If you did the first letter of all their tweets, like since they went live, it actually spelled out the whole thing. Like
Oh, dear God.
someone had like, I mean, they had done.
That's a lot of
Oh
work.
my gosh, it was. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to look it up real quick because it was. I don't want to say the wrong one because it was an impressive amount of work.
Man, okay.
Yeah, it was not tiny. So if you really want to see the extent of just how far that one really goes, quite frankly, like this community has taken that meme to entirely new levels.
Yeah,
Just
they have.
entirely new levels. But I think it's only fair to say, or if anybody is curious, like why that one is so prevalent within the community. If you were not around during year one Destiny 1, you have no idea about this. But it was very possible to get locked into that instance
Oh
like
God.
6 or 7 times over. It
That
was
strike.
god awful.
What
That
was
it was
Valis
just
to Arc,
Yeah,
right?
well, not to
the-
mention
the
it's
Siege
like
Dancer strike.
well, not to mention it's got one of the biggest bullet sponge bosses in the game.
Well, they
it
had
was an
the
easy
tone-
strike, though.
Oh yeah, no,
well,
it
they
was
had the
super
tone-
easy.
Unless it was nightfall, in which case you
Right.
wanted to like go and hang yourself. But it was like really one of those strikes where you, whenever you got it, you were just like, I am going to be in here forever. Nexus Mind had nothing on that. None of the other strikes had anything on how much damage Valis to Auric would take. They had to tone him down 3 times, or like 3 times of his health bar had to be killed off in order to make everything more balanced. It was ludicrous.
Think that strike opening in particular is the reason why we don't have dialogue before missions or strikes really now?
Well, we still have a few that do, but they don't fire off in the same instances.
Right.
I think it's also a larger piece just because they want to uniform everything for like loading in and all that.
Right.
Because that also, if we're talking like the dev side of things as well, having that loading also, or playing also tallied into a bit of like the loading of what the game needed to do. So that was another reason they wanted to kill it. If they needed to extend the time of loading for the dialogue bar, that was one thing that they had to do. So they decided, let's just cut out the dialogue in the beginning. And if it loads up in half a second, then it loads up in half a second. That way we don't have to drag it out with dialogue.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
I do kind of miss the dialogue a little bit, though. Getting like the mission briefing is what it felt like. Blue. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is a little light.
Yeah, I can see that one for you.
As soon as so it was one of the emblems that I got in D1 that I wore up until I got the lore emblem, to be honest. Like that was the emblem. I loved that not to mention just the hilariousness of Ghost getting all uppity about it, but like just the entire like mental image of that. Like that it's so accurate. Like it was so accurate to what the ghosts were. And I love it. And then also because at the time I was in the Dads of Destiny, a lot of the parenting clans, we kind of there was a very large grafting onto that entire concept just for obvious reasons, because all of us had kids, and that's what I still refer to my son as a little light. And it's just that, it's a very positive thing to say and to refer to someone as, I think, in just my personal opinion.
Yeah. And I'm going to go totally negative.
There you go. See, we balance
You
each
ready?
other out.
We're totally going to balance each other out. My number 2 is primary. The whole thing back from D1 where everyone was like angry about shotguns and angry about snipers and nobody was using any other primary weapons, and now I kind of still feel that way. But you can't really say primary anymore because it doesn't work the same. But that
Um,
God, everybody and their dad was like primary, primary. Beard, did you have something?
um, I was just gonna say, like, right now, like, what did Bungie do to get rid of the weapon slot debate? Get rid of weapon slots,
Yeah.
with like some exceptions, of course, but
Right. I mean, the whole weapons slot debate is kind of an interesting one at this point anyway, just because you can have a shotgun in the primary slot and you can have a shotgun in the secondary slot, but you're not going to get that much ammo, so it doesn't matter. Of course, if you're just aping everybody in Crucible, it doesn't even matter because you're going to get one shot at anyway.
hmm I still get I still get shot pretty hard by snipers. Like,
Yeah.
it's still very much a thing, and
It's more of a thing I want to say in PC than it is on console. It's pretty hard
it,
to make console snipers work out okay.
hmm
I see a
I'm
few
gonna say
people try it.
it's a different environment on PC versus console for sure. Because when
Mhm.
I see people that complain about shotguns, I'm just like, I just got sniped from like half the map away. I don't know what you guys are talking about. And then I'm like, right, I'm on PC. Never mind. Carry on.
Yeah. Just any of like the weapons memes right now, like the Telesto
Yeah.
one is the big one right now that everyone's yelling about.
Well, if it's like fusion rifles in general, and like between Telesto, Sleeper, don't get me farted. Okay, it started on like uh voice of 1,000,
Mhm.
or 1,000 voices. Like, that thing is ludicrous in Gambit.
Mhm.
It is much worse than Sleeper.
Oh god,
Uh,
the sleeper. Oh, the guy with the crutches
yup,
meme for
yup,
Sleeper for Halloween.
yup.
That I may have laughed aloud at work because of that meme.
I also like the one where it's here's Johnny, but instead it's Sleeper.
Yeah. When a weapon is that good that
hmm
it invades your memes everywhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that the problem is that like weapons like those right now are so hard to, especially like linear fusion rifles in general,
Mm,
are really
God,
hard to top, just based on the fact that like they cut through so much armor, they
don't
push
have
through so much
damage
of it.
drop
Like,
off.
right, yeah, the lack of damage drop off is the big reason for sure. But drives me nuts, man. And
Mm,
that's like the biggest thing that changes everything. But
it
well,
is
yeah,
it is
the
fun to
one
see that meme change constantly though.
it is, because that's one that does change all the time. And I will say this now. I will be very disappointed if, when HMGs come back, Thunderlord is not up there at some point.
I'm so excited for HMGs.
All I can say is, when you have a Titan in your party and they can throw down that barricade and they can allow for your ammo to be replenished with your Thunderlord, you take that barricade, because that's going to be ridiculous.
That's gonna be some good times. Some good salty times coming up.
Yeah.
Beard, we're to number ones now though. You
Oh
ready for
boy.
it? You ready
I
for it?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm actually going to go with just like characters in general, however. I'm going to actually cheat here and do like two, because it's really hard to pick just one.
Mm-hmm.
But the first one is going to be a little biased, because of it being Asher Mir.
Uh-huh.
Asher is just a straight meme, quite frankly. He might have plenty of problems and whatnot, but he is totally a meme. The second, as everybody over here in chat is stealing my thunder, is Varix, because
Yeah.
disable mines. Yes.
The Warden strike where you go
Uh,
in and I freaking love that strike. It is so funny to see the Warden go crazy and it's gotten Varix's voice
right.
essentially.
Yep.
That's such a fun strike.
Yeah,
Blue.
that's my favorite of the new ones, I think.
Yeah. Blue, what's your number one?
Eyes Up Guardian.
Mm,
I think it's I just think it, again, similar to the other two. I think it just encapsulates the stubborn positivity that the Destiny community as a whole has. I think when we've talked about this quite a bit on various episodes too. It's this community has always had like an just unshakable positivity. And even in the darker, there weren't even darker periods of the community. Like there's been salty periods, but there's not been like anywhere where people were actually getting into like toxic areas with each other. But like even in the difficult periods, there's just always been this underlying, I want to even say hope that it's going to get better. It's always going to get better. It's always going to be worth the fight. You always get back up and you start again. And that's really, honestly, that's the thing that, to me really drives home and keeps me interested in the Destiny story. Even when I'm not playing Destiny, I'm still interested in the underlying story and the underlying message that Destiny offers. And that line just kind of cements that whole thing in my mind.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say, Blue. Some hope for the future. Some wait for the call.
I'm glad they finally put that in game. That was a good. I'm a little tired of it because I go and hang out in that room a lot whenever I go to Tangle Shore for some reason. But, it's a good song.
It's too funny.
It is hilarious. The first time we found it, we may have gotten murderized multiple times by the door guard. Because we were not high enough level.
Yeah, I gotta say, first time you're like exploring and everything, you're like sub 400 or just hitting 400. And then all of a sudden you go in this area and you're just like, oh, this is great. What?
You get one
it's
shot.
It's a dance club for Fallen. And then all of a sudden the door guard like runs up at you like, hey, how you doing, Pike?
With a mob boss in the back room doing shady stuff. It's so funny though. My number one is actually kind of a hopeful one too. It's for the puppies.
That's a good one.
Yeah, we were talking about the marketing material at the beginning of the show. And I thought that was the most unexpected but hilarious moment to just kind of drive home how ridiculous we all are and the fact that we play this game for various reasons. And
how much that has now changed from where it was to where it is now. I think that's the biggest thing to actually call out about that marketing campaign. Is just how much the tone has continued to change with Destiny, and how Bungie as a storytelling team has also changed up.
Yeah, that's true. They've gotten a lot more serious. There's still lighthearted moments. Even though there's more serious as far as main story, there's a lot more funny moments, I think, in-game now than there used to be.
Yeah.
But I replayed the first mission of Forsaken earlier on my Warlock, and just watching Cade hang on to that shank as he's being drug around the Prison of Elders. It's just
or the wink at Petra.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, it's just a literal. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to get off topic with this, so I'll just shut up now. But
it's okay.
It really does feel like it's a literal thematic change from like one thing to the next, with how they altered like just that mission as like the final send off to being like, this is what we were, this is where we're going. And I think they just, I guess in a way that alone kind of has a has its own mimetic value behind it, because like if we're going with characters, Cade is probably one of the biggest memes out of all of Destiny, because who knew Destiny for anything but Cade if you didn't play the game in a lot of ways.
He was the poster boy for sure.
Yep. And legitimately killing the poster boy and having it change over, that should speak a lot for like where you're going and how you want to play it. So
Totally.
that was interesting for them to do.
Yeah. I'm glad. Well, we're going to get in way off topic and keep going on this for a while because it's easy to do.
Yes, it is.
But
What's that story guys are talking about? Story elements? Okay.
it's okay. I'm actually going to use it as a terrible segue. Speaking of dead guys, you want to know next week's topic?
I'm almost afraid to ask with a segue like that.
Next week's topic is people you'd like to meet or have dinner with, dead or alive. Like they can be a dead person that you bring back type thing, but who would you want to have a dinner or like meet up with and chat with? Anybody in the world, in history or anywhere. So we're going to do top 3 of that. A little bit more serious than this week, but I still think a really fun, interesting topic to do. What do you think, Blue? You ready for that one?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to trim down
Your list?
a list.
Uh-huh. You only get 3.
Yeah, I think it's a good one. Like it's I've been asked that before. I've seen it asked in a couple different areas, and it's a good one because you get some pretty interesting answers.
You get a lot of insight about the people around you.
Yeah, that is very true.
That being said, thank you for joining us for top 3 this week, and remember, everybody likes a list. Animated? I mean,
No,
if you
I think
want
they
to,
have to be
Black Flag,
historical
I think they have
figures.
to. Yeah, I think like real life people first.
That's usually the caveat that is like it has to be a real person, but
Yeah.
like because oh my god, like even that is a tough
If you open
list.
it up, if you open it up to like
fictional
characters, it's
holy
like
shit, like that's gonna be
Spock
Doom
and
for zombies. We have to have a small talk here one quick second. Are you calling me a historical figure?
you
Because
alive
I'm
or
kind-
dead,
I'm
alive
kind
or
old.
dead,
I mean,
alive
hey,
or dead.
Beard, I know you're a little bit older, so
Not that much older. You just got raspberried at. That's amazing.
Might hate you a little bit, Blue.
Okay, I need to.
oh no, my pen's dying. One bad thing about these felt tip pens is when they die fast.
Yes, they do. I know entirely how you
That being
feel.
said, hang on, let me go grab a new pen.
That's why I just use a Sharpie.
I bought, I got 5 pens sitting as standby, and I usually carry like 3 on me.
Work uses gel pens. I've kind of gotten used to using those guys.
Gels are nice. I just like my inkwells and felt pens, though. They're very good. Inkwell, I think, a little bit better, because it's still a metal tip versus felt.
What?
Beard is just showing his age, talking about how he uses inkwells.
Jesus Christ, get out of here.
Inkwells? Why would you...
Inkwell pens.
Oh, inkwell pens.
Yeah. I'm just giving him grief.
I'm not talking about freaking feather quills and goddamn...
I'm not a fan of... I'm usually not a fan of metal nibs.
Yeah, I've gotten very used to them over the years. I know that some people...
How hard do you press?
I write...
Really don't.
Oh, no, I write really hard. That's my problem, is if you write like I write, no. Calligraphy and I do not get along. Like I can write soft, but it actually takes a lot of concentration for me. And it's just not so much angry as much as it's just me writing really, really fast, and it tends to translate into, if I had a metal tip pen, I wouldn't have paper left on it.
If I'm angry, that's when I write hard. If I'm like not really worried about things, it's...
Though I will be honest, like with felt tips, I do find that I actually write softer with felt tips because you get a better
line.
Line.
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of interesting for me. But
That is true. That is true.
my problem with felt tips is if Jesus Christ, if moisture gets near it, it's like
It's done. It is over.
It's like I'm like, oh well, glad I wrote that page.
Yeah. Oh my god, I cannot. So bad at jumping because I want to jump just straight up, and there's not really a straight up option. I may just rage quit Warlock, and I'm not even at like level 35 yet. And
Oh come on, you got to get further than that.
You'll be the greatest disappointment of a friend I've ever had.
I mean, I got to be fair, I got further than that with my Warlock.
So I may have looked up how many hours or how much time I spent on each character the other day, just
That's
to
a terrible
see. Like,
idea.
I only gave my Warlock in D1 about 40 minutes before I rage quit.
To be fair, Green, you have me beat.
Wow.
I think I literally played a Warlock for maybe 20 minutes, and I was like, nope, fuck this jump. I'm done. Like, to be fair though, I did the same. To be fair, I did the same with the Titan. The only reason I grinded out at Titan was to get a defender, because our raid team at the time needed a support class.
Yeah, that's the reason I had a Titan in D1, is because we would switch out during the raid. We would do like one run of the raid as your main characters, and then we'd rotate out characters so we'd have all the classes again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, no, Warlock, the jump. The jump.
It's better now.
Oh yeah, no, in D2 I've actually I leveled my Warlock all the way through. I think I've managed to do everything except for Forsaken on my Warlock. Because I think I got most of the way through Curse of Osiris campaign mission on the Warlock.
Might have a Titan on my Xbox. Not sure.
Yeah, you need to fix that problem.
I don't have a Titan right now on PlayStation.
You should get back on the Xbox.
Oh, actually play Forsaken on Xbox?
Oh no, you don't have to play. You don't have to play Forsaken. You should just get on the Xbox so we can play Halo. Because
Jay, you are literally the only
Halloween Infection is
person.
effing hilarious.
You are literally the only reason I have ever stepped into Halo PvP.
I know, and I appreciate that level of dedication.
That also, your brother is another reason, because he likes to use me as the we do use you as a bait and switch for a SWAT game all the time. I'm just like running around, just relearning the controls.
Green, get in here. We need a leader.
We need a dummy. That's what.
Wait, why are you asking Green to be a leader? This sounds like a really bad idea.
Because fire team matches are based off the leader, and Ben is right. It never works. But so Ben and I we'll find the people. We'll find Pins and Green and Alex now. We're like, you're the fire team leader. We're gonna go play SWAT.
Did I tell you that I went and finally played a game without you two?
How'd it go?
I rocked.
Yeah.
I actually did well because everybody else was shit. And I'm like, well, I'm playing against people my level. This is amazing. I can actually compete and get more than a 0.7 KD.
You should come play the Halloween Infection with us, because oh my god, we played it last night, and there's some game modes that are annoying as shit, but there's one oh god,
you're selling it so well.
No, Pins was watching it. We were playing one where it was basically oddball, and all the zombies are 100% invisible. so you can't see them. It's like the only time I have literally like had a jump scare in Halo was when I got assassinated by a zombie. That it was like, because they're really like, you know, usually you see invisibility and it's like these like somewhat invisible, like you can still see them. Nope. They were actually like, it was legit. You could not see anything. And it was like the whole thing of I think it was Assault, basically an Assault variant of Oddball. It was really fun, actually. It was a really well-designed game type. And then there's another one where it forces the team to roll through a level. So like there's certain checkpoints that you have to reach. And basically when you reach them, you have to get through a door. And as you get through the doors, the zombies are able to like continuously attack like they normally do, but it's forcing you to it basically prevents anybody from just holding up in a corner. Oh, it's a lot of fun, and different maps have different like challenges and stuff like that. It's really there's some pretty good ones.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. I would rather stick a needle in my eye at the moment.
You know,
Whatever works.
Whatever
works. Same level.
It's just
Then we played Super Fiesta, which is hilarious.
Because of course you did.
Super Fiesta is amazing. It's like one of the reasons I get back on Destiny whenever Mayhem is on the rotation.
Mm-hmm. Even though it sounds like it's disabled for now.
Yeah. Hence my not being on Destiny at the moment.
I didn't hear why, but
don't mock Super Fiesta.
I don't like I just don't know the weapons. I don't play the game, so I don't know all the weapons. And so when you hand me a new weapon every freaking time I die, I'm just like, well, what does this gun do? Oh, great. It's a giant laser pointer.
But that's a fun one.
It's not. Like, I haven't figured out the timing on it because I'm never alive long enough to use it.
Well then.
Ay. Okay, we should start the real show.
I am good to go when you guys are.
Sure.
Today's chat is brought to you by the support of all our Twitch subscribers. Through the patronage you provide the Focus Fire chat team through the Twitch platform, we are able to provide you with the weekly podcast as well as the website and other aspects of Focused Fire chat. If you have any interest in becoming a subscriber of the FFC and gaining access to some exclusive features over in the Discord server, please be sure to visit our Twitch account and click on the subscribe button. If you're an Amazon Prime member, remember that you do have a free subscription to Twitch every month that can be used for this. And for those of you who are already subscribers, thank you again for your generosity. You may have heard the whispers of guardians gathering in the shadows, exploring the mysteries of this world and the worlds which surround us. We are all in search of truth. Sometimes we need to focus that search, focus that fire. And so we come together. Join us. Join the discussion. Welcome to Focused Fire Chat. Welcome back for episode 148 of Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on October 26 over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. As always, want to give a big shout out to our live chat here with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Our topic for tonight's episode is going to be a look at the Marasenna lore booklet. But first, let's run through a quick introduction of those on the show for tonight. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86. Next up, we have our own master of social media, the one and only Green-Eyed Music Lover. Green, hope you're doing well. How has the week treated you so far?
Not too bad. Haven't been playing a ton of Destiny, but I did do something I haven't done And I've actually been committing to it a little bit more than I have ever before. And I told Beard today that he should be proud of me because I finally made a warlock and I've put at least over an hour into the character so far. And I'm playing the warlock now. So there's that. I'm learning how to floof. It's difficult.
I was trying to teach her how to floof. She
He
wasn't picking
was.
up on it very well.
Yeah, you were saying something about double tapping. Like, just
Do I
just
have to make
literally-
a video?
Do I just
for
have to
YouTube?
here? Listen. Do I just do this?
No.
Okay.
No.
Doesn't seem to
Like-
work very well. I'm just spazzing all over the screen.
Like just tap it and hit it again. Just da-da,
Did it?
da-da.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Da-da. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if I have to vocalize this anyway, it's da-da.
I can do that. Give me rhythmic cues and I'll be fine.
See, one musician to another, we understand this. We get it.
Yeah.
Da-da.
Da-da.
Maybe someday I'll be able to actually jump vertically with a warlock. Right now, that's not happening.
Do I really have to make a video about this?
Just tell me how to do it after the show. Just tell me how to do it after the show.
Do I have to content cop the ideas of how to floof properly? Anyway.
Well, rounding out the usual team, we have the man who is known far and wide as the Destiny lore content cop, and apparently the floofer educational system, the one and only Beard Grizzly. Beard, how are you doing tonight?
I swear with these nicknames. I am
Hey,
doing
to be
well.
fair, I came up with that one on the
Yeah,
spot.
I mean,
I'll
I
give
could
you-
have been
I'll give
like,
you that one.
here's da-da. Da-da. Is that how we communicate in Warlock?
It could be a next bad Destiny joke.
No.
Should get Cole on that.
Yeah, when she gets time, the poor girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, this week's been interesting. As I mentioned actually in top 3 a little bit ago, for anybody that's coming straight from there, I actually have my sister visiting for almost a month, I think it is at this point. But this is her first week back. So it's been nice to catch up with her, of course, since she lives over in California and I'm over here in PA. It's a little bit of a distance, just a little bit. But that being said, yeah, it's good to kind of hang out with her, spend a little bit more time with her again. Between that, I've been also reading up on everything that I've been missing out on when it comes down to the lore. I am officially down to, as of like a couple days ago, actually, I was down to just needing to read ghost stories, and I've legitimately lacked any ability to like find time to do so between a couple other things that have been going on in life. So that being said, one more book to go, and then I am back to creating content and basically just being able to be like, here's everything that I found out, because I'm crazy and I like to hold it all in up until I'm all done with it all. We also have been kind of what's the word here? Productive over the course of the week. My father actually bought a Drobo, and I don't know if anybody's familiar with them, but they're basically the best little NAS systems or network drive systems that you can get a hold of. But this actually allowed for a older NAS that we had to be freed up. So I now have a network drive that I can back up all my stuff to.
Oh, nice.
Which is immensely helpful, considering I have not had the ability to pick up a backup drive for a little while now. But yeah, that being said, I now have like all my videos being backed up as we speak to the thing.
Cool.
Transferring at a whole 12 megasecond, but it's getting there.
Beep beep beep.
Yeah, basically. Beep-o-bee! Beep-o-bee!
So for this episode, Green was kind enough to ask the community, Green, I'm going to let you voice the question.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I may have done this partially to see if I would trigger Beard.
Yeah, because I wasn't here last week. Sorry about that, by the way.
That's okay.
I might be a little bit more rambly than usual because I wasn't here last week. Just fair
Yes,
warning for everybody. I'll try to keep
okay.
it under control, but
It is okay. So okay. So I asked the community, because we're talking about the Marasenna, is the Marasenna factual, or do you feel that it's embellished? And it was actually a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. We had 93 people vote on it. 57% of the people said that they felt it was embellished, versus 43% saying that it's 100% factual, which is a lot closer than I thought. A lot of people wanted, and a couple different people had commented on it. Zach said, well, Zach was asking if it was like an approximation to Books of Sorrow. Like, do you think it's an approximation to that? And the fact that we know that there's a lot of lies in Books of Sorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, do we think Marasenna is kind of like the Awoken's version of Books of Sorrow? I kind of want to get your guys' opinions on that. What do you think?
I mean, did anybody else have any thoughts on their own, I guess, from that, or not entirely? Because I can get long-winded on this one.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of other comments basically saying that they think essentially history is told by the victors,
Right.
and so that you're going to get some embellishments in general. Some people are like, I don't trust Mara, it's totally made up type thing.
Yeah, but that's the dumb part. I don't trust Mara because I think she is a backstabbing wench. I think overall,
We are
when all is
already
said and-
there.
Oh yeah, we're already there. I of course will take this to the nth degree right off the
That's
bat.
fine.
Yeah, I think that there is grounds to say that it is embellished, but it is to drive the points home, more than it is actually to throw out what possibly was there. If there's any embellishing that is going on inside of the Marasenna after having read it, it is the embellishment of the awoken people and how great they are, or for how great the ones that stayed back are within the distributary, which we're still not even entirely sure if that's the case or not. Like, we're never going to probably meet those people.
Right.
But that being said, like, those are if there's any embellishment that I feel is there, it is how the awoken people were within the distributary and how different they are now, when we start to see and read about the events that happened throughout the Maraid and a few other books that we've kind of seen, or other entries that we've seen for the awoken people. I really don't think that there is much embellishment in terms of how Morozov actually is. I really just see somebody that is doing something for the sake of what she feels is the correct direction that the universe or our solar system needs to go in. But that doesn't mean that it's in the best interest of the solar system or for the inhabitants. It is for the best interest of the awoken people. As I've mentioned like several times over, I think at this point, just because Rasputin is the guardian of Earth doesn't mean that he's the guardian of humanity anymore. It's sort of like Gamera, okay? Just because he's the guardian of Earth doesn't mean he's the guardian of humanity. Just means he likes the soil, all right?
He just likes the dirt there. He just likes the place.
But it's the same thing as the Awoken, I feel. They are in touch with the ideas of the universe, they are in touch with the ideas of the galaxy, but they are not in touch with the ideas of who is there and what ultimately it is going to come down to on who inhabits it. If it's for the betterment of the universe as a cosmic idea, then that's fine. And that's why I think we'll get to it, of course, as we go along with like all the logics and everything, of course, too. But the ideas that branch into Morozov as a whole, I really do feel just say like she is there for the betterment of the universe and like finding this balance within the universe. If I have to akin this to anybody, she's like the Anakin Skywalker of Destiny. Like she is there to find the balance within the within the Force, if you will. But that doesn't mean it's going to be over good necessitative reasonings.
All right then. With that,
like I said, long-winded.
No. It's just it's interesting because I know I have a very different perspective on how Mara is in this. And
well, you're also generally an Awoken.
I am always an Awoken. I never play any other race.
This is coming from the logical exo. Like that's
right.
That's where I think the perspective
logical
is going to be.
The
yes, that's how it works.
Warlock.
Yes, like that's how I think that this is going to be funny.
Hmm.
Because Blue, you're traditionally humans, are you not?
No, I play a mix of awoken and human, but yeah.
Okay, so
My
never an
hunter
exo.
is awoken, my titan is an exo, and my warlock is a human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're gonna. I don't know which one you actually
I
generally
I don't I
side with,
align
but
more with the hunter, but that's not because of the species, it's because of the mechanics.
right.
I actually
Yeah.
I do tend to kind of lean more towards the exos as far as like the
Personality.
personalities,
Mm.
I think, because I do agree with their. I don't know. I see the benefit of all three.
Mhm.
It's pros and cons on all three, obviously.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and like Mara, there's a lot of interesting things that I know we'll get into, especially within the Marasenna, that really do from a psychological standpoint really kind of explain a lot of what Mara is doing, as well as
Hmm.
Aldrin. It explains a lot of Aldrin's. I'd almost call them issues. Not as much as the Forsaken Prince,
Yeah.
but like Marasenna does kind of lay very strong groundwork for those two characters, especially. And there's just like seeing that piece of it, and I don't think those pieces were the embellished pieces. I do kind of agree with Beard. I think that they have deified the Awoken who stayed behind. Um, as far as why they deified them, I have my own opinions of that, and
Mhm.
we'll get into that because I don't think it was for anything that I don't think it was something that Mara necessarily wanted to do. I think it was an appeasement of sorts, basically,
Right.
to
Very, very
keep
likely.
those who sacrifice. Well, we'll get into that. Um,
Right.
but like I don't I agree 100% that they deified those who stayed behind. More so than maybe than even they were worth. And I think that maybe like in the Marasenna itself is kind of a in the good old days, the golden days, and a throwback there. So is it
But
is it like embellishment? Yeah, but it's embellishment in the same sense that anyone who's reading historical text will kind of see. Like you kind of gloss over the bad and you kind of slightly engage, like slightly kind of bump up the good.
the thing is,
Mhm.
though, is Mara exposes herself
Oh
as
yeah,
not
right.
being the greatest. I mean, even though Mara
Well,
is, well, she
does
comes out
she?
on top. She comes
Right.
out on top, but she's got some really shady stuff that she talks
Oh
about. That,
yeah, but I mean, I think that's where my compromise back to the question kind of comes in is like I think that the Marasenna is a work of historical retelling, but I think it's in the same line. And Green, you and I have had this conversation offline. I think it's in the same line that you see like within the poets like Virgil and Homer. It's an epic. It's an epic poem, basically, of their history. It's an epic retelling, and in that
right.
epic retelling, there is a lot of fact, but there is also some embellishment because in order to tell a story, you have to keep the interest.
Right.
And so within the Marasenna, I think that's exactly what you're seeing. Is you're seeing an
Mhm.
embellishment in regards to, hey, this is a story that we're telling. But you're 100% correct there as well, Green, because she doesn't pull punches even when it comes to herself. And like for example, if you look at the Aeneid, that's the same that can be said about the story of Aeneas, who is the founder of Rome. I mean, like the entire
Hmm.
book is about the supremacy of Rome and all this stuff. And even in that, even in the Aeneas makes really dumb mistakes. Like he just is.
Mhm.
There are some points where it's just like, seriously, dude, like you are an idiot. And they do that because they show that character, when within the story you see the character
Humanizes them.
grow. Well, it
Hmm.
humanizes them, but it also allows them to grow, and it kind of encourages them that hey, we have made mistakes in the past and we've learned from them, so any mistakes that we make now is a learning opportunity. It's not necessarily a failure, it's an opportunity to learn and become better. So
Right.
it's that's where I kind of see like maybe an embellishment, especially in the
Mhm.
Marasenna, is more of it, call it propaganda, call it political speak, whatever you want. It is also education. Like, that is what
Yeah.
these things do. So, I mean,
that's-
I do think it was embellished, but I don't think it necessarily was embellished for a nefarious purpose. Though, I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know.
I think that's why, though, it legitimately comes down to like who is either writing it or communicating to it, etc. Like, you want to give a better impression. Like, Mara can officially go ahead and like put onto the books like, these are the ways that we wanted to like go away from these from the distributary or whatnot. But she can still go ahead and talk highly of the people that she left behind.
Here's an interesting
Largely
question,
because of
too.
like a large person she left behind, I have a feeling. But anyway.
Another question, though, that kind of leads into the actual bulk of our thing is, do you think Mara actually wrote the entire text of it? Because she, as far as I can tell, she penned the first card, yes, but a lot of the rest of it is told either through like third person.
I have a theory on that too. I think that she pinned the first and the last card. I think I get the feeling that that's her statements, and I think that's kind of her being like kind of what Beard is saying, like the kind of like, this is the official story, you know, like it's not necessarily. I honestly, I think probably either a Cryptarch or a Tetchun probably pinned the actual information, because those are both the classifications of scholars within the Awoken populace. And
either
they
that or a scribe, since we know that
Scribe.
or
Jensen.
well.
Yeah, but my argument against that is the Jensen scribes
not
are
happy
really
with her.
anti-Mara. Like, they really did not they did not like him. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that the brunt of it was necessarily written by Mara, but I mean, again, we don't know. But I do agree. I do agree that the first and last card were probably definitely.
Yeah. It feels like it had her oversight, if nothing else, but that's about as far as it went. I would probably say that, thinking back on it a little bit more.
With that being said, do you think we're ready to go into the bulk?
Yeah,
of
I
the
mean, it's
matter?
not like, it's probably not like you can tell that we're kind of hyped up to talk about this one, but
I'm gonna say, and it's actually one that I can actually give input on for.
Yay!
so let's run through the intro real quick, and then we'll get right into it. In our last episode of Focus Fire Chat, we discussed ghost stories. If you ever miss an episode and would like to catch up, please be sure to check out focusfirechat.com for archives, articles, and links to the other aspects of Focus Fire Chat. If you don't mind, please rate and, if you can, review the show on iTunes, Podbean, or whichever. I broke it.
Uh-oh. What'd you do?
I played the wrong one. Give me a second. Hang on. All right, here we go.
Power of editing.
Yay, live stream. In our last episode of Focus Fire Chat, we discussed Most Loyal. If you ever miss an episode and would like to catch up, please be sure to check out focusfirechat.com for archives, articles, and links to the other aspects of Focus Fire Chat. If you don't mind, please rate and, if you can, review the show on iTunes, Podbean, or whichever podcasting app you use to enjoy podcasts. Reviews are extremely helpful, as they not only let us know what we can do better, but help us stay up on the charts, which helps others find our amazing community. To those of you who have already taken the time to leave us a review, thank you. As many of you already know, Focus Fire Chat is a cross-community gathering where the intent is to offer a week-long, in-depth view of a particular subject from within the lore of Destiny and other games. This chat begins every Tuesday morning and runs until the following Tuesday, with topics decided by the group via a poll that begins every Friday and ends on the Tuesday morning of the new chat. Every Friday at around 10 p.m. Central, we get together to stream a high-level summary of the previous week's chat for those who are unable to participate. Please be sure to also give some support to the other podcasts in the Guardian Radio Network, links of which can be found on our website. If you're a fan of lore in all its various forms, be sure to also check out thelorenetwork.com, where you can find a wide variety of some amazing content that covers a number of different titles and mediums. Our next chat is going to be a discussion on the extra lore topic for October, Bloodborne. However, as always, please be sure to weigh in on the poll this weekend to let us know which topic you want to discuss after that. Links to that poll can be found on either Twitter @FocusFireChat or within our Discord server. With all that being said, here's Green with a high-level summary of tonight's topic.
Secrets. Do you come in hope, O listeners, for the secrets of the awoken? The Marasenna reads much like a holy text. The genesis of a race, establishment of order, civil war, and exodus of a people back to the realm from which they originated echo religious texts we have out of game. There is much to learn and even more to speculate thanks to this, which without much formatting is over 30 pages long. We can begin to comprehend Aldrin and Mara, both learning that their personalities didn't really change when they became awoken. And finally, start to grasp how a race changed at the beginning of the collapse could have such technological advantage. But be wary not to swallow this book wholesale and dig too deep. You will likely miss the point.
Before we jump into the information and thoughts that the community had about Marasenna, however, let's have a quick chat about this week's Lost Lore. So, similar to what we did with the last couple Lost Lores, I figured Green and I have had this conversation offline.
Argument?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, friendly debate. Friendly debate, because I don't really feel like I have a lot invested in either way of the side of it. So I think one of the big questions that I've seen actually quite a few times, not just towards us, but other, like, in general, is like the meaning of Marasenna. What does it mean? Because it's kind of, a made up word. So what could it possibly mean? We had a couple people reach out, or we had one person reach out asking us about, do you think it's a nod to Mara's full name? Do you, and then all that. And so I'm curious. Green and I have had, like I said, we've had this conversation. Green, I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Well, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first on
Either
thoughts?
Way,
Actually,
Beard, you want to go first?
Beard, you want to go first?
Well, I just want to interject that I figured I would look up the word Senna.
See, Beard's on my side.
Oh my
Beard's
God.
on my side.
To be fair, I started there. Okay, I just went a different direction. I just went a different direction than Green did.
I figured you would. I'm just sitting here going, you're combining Mara and Senna together,
right?
And this just doesn't work out very well because, and all right, maybe it does make things work out kind of well. So I'm going to define to you what Senna means right now. It is a noun. The plural is senis, and it is the cassia tree. A laxative prepared from the dried pods of the cassia tree. So,
the cassia
in essence,
tree, before no,
all right. Before I get to my joke, go ahead.
Before you get to your joke, and we break blue any further, the cassia tree is like a shrubbery to add to the funniness. It's a shrubbery.
Bring us a shrubbery. Sorry, that was my way of redeeming myself from dying of the fact that it's a laxative.
That you can make a laxative out of it, which, granted, you can make a lot of. Anyway, go on with your joke, Beard.
Yeah, so to me, I think Wicked Gesture has already gone ahead and ruined it, but it just makes it to the point that it's easier to accept Mara for what she is, and I think that's where they're going with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. No.
Yeah. Yes. So the
No.
Marasenna.
No.
I don't think it's Mara's crap necessarily. Black Flag, but it just makes accepting what Mara has to tell us a little easier.
Oh
Which,
my
per that
God.
notion, just tells me overall, I think
Salty
I really
XO.
just see this from a completely different perspective now.
So,
Moving on
So
entirely.
Green.
That's hilarious.
Green, you go.
For the non-salty perspective of that same breakdown, you stop it. Senna being tree, this is like the family tree of Mara. This is the family tree of the Awoken. It's the history of the Awoken. Very simple, straightforward, nothing to do with laxatives, nothing to do with crapping all over my Awoken queen. Jerk face.
Wow. Okay, this went a completely different direction than I expected.
Right. Okay. And if you
let's dial that back.
And if you look at later in that definition, it actually starts talking about the etymology of the word Senna, and it will point you back. There's a couple different theorized roots. One is the Germanic for the edge of the sword, I believe, and then the one that I kind of latched onto was the Latin/Italian basis of inna. And so this is kind of, and I kind of mentioned this before we went through the intro, but in a similar way that we saw the Aeneid and the Maraid is the other piece of text from the Awoken that we have. And the Maraid, I really strongly argue, is Mara's story of the founding of the reef, because it's the Mara Aid. Similar to the Aeneas founding of Rome is told in the Aeneid. As far as the Marasenna, I think it's more of a play off the, and I wrote this, actually, I was being asked about this earlier, so full disclosure, this is what my response to them was. And I'd say, I actually kind of argue that it's not her name, but actually it's more of a play off the idea of a collection of tales. This is where I kind of make a nod. It could be possibly derived from Germanic term ek, which means edge of sword, and agi, which is awe, terror, or fear. But actually what seems to be more likely to be the case, if you went down this little rabbit hole that I went down, is that its usage in the English tongue is actually more likely to be from the Latin or Italian use of inna, which refers to a province in Sicily. So there's a bit of a explanation that needs to be made here as to why I think this actually is applicable. Inna is the location of an event in Greek mythology called the Rape of Persephone. And this was the story of Pluto capturing Persephone and kidnapping her, basically, and dragging her into the underworld. And so this would tie into some of the other terms that you see within the Marasenna, namely the impotent and catabasis, which are both events that are similar to the legend of Persephone and Hades. And so you kind of see a little bit of a connection there. Also, the fact is that we have seen a lot of times mixing of the Awoken with the Greek mythology or the Roman mythology. So that's kind of where, again, I'm kind of like, I mean, there's kind of a nod there. Dino is also pointing out in chat that Senna is an Arabic name for brightness. And then Mara means bitterness and death, so Marasenna could be the balancing act, like the Awoken themselves. So that's another really good point there. There's a lot of different ways that you can kind of play on this, depending on which definition you're going with. I mean, anywhere from Beard's laxative to Green's family tree. And to be fair, I don't think that that's wrong. I think that's actually like both of those are, well, Green's is very, very good. Beards is effing hilarious, but it's, I'm not gonna anyways. But I think like the etymology there too, I think is really kind of, it was a kind of a cool little thing. I had completely not even thought about, the whole mythology aspect to it. But if that is the case, that's a really kind of cool little nod to a really it's a disturbing part of the myth, because it also explains the reason why the seasons exist, and there's a lot of stuff that happen within the Persephone and Hades myth that explain a lot of the natural world that we have. But it also would be paired pretty nicely with what was actually happening within the Marasenna, because with the humanity that became the Awoken being ripped into the distributary, kind of not necessarily against their will, but not necessarily because they wanted to, and they are allowed to eventually return. But the price of returning is the sacrificing of some of the gifts that they had been quote unquote given. I see a lot of parallels with that particular mythology or myth and the Awoken Marasenna. So but I know Green kind of disagrees with me.
I'm just adamant about my way or the highway at this point with that one.
I mean, look, I think you're both wrong about it, and it is obviously a way to accept Mara for who she is at this point, which is still a
So now
backstabbing
all I can hear is that I am allowed to shout me whenever I disagree with him.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Green, I know Green has done just a fair amount of research for this one, so I'm actually going to let Green kind of walk us through really just like an introduction of what the Marasenna involves.
So Marasenna is huge in comparison to a lot of the books that we have so far. It is,
That's an understatement.
It's, if you take just the text of the Marasenna in 10 font times New Roman, it is 34 pages long. Straight.
Oh God, why would you do that?
I did that because I have Evernote, and it's a lot easier for me to pretend I'm working at work with a text document up rather than a web page up.
Okay, that's fair.
But yeah, it's huge. It if you've listened to the recording of the Marasenna, I think it was an hour and 50 minutes long.
Yeah.
Or quite near that. And it is a ton of information all the way through, and we're obviously not going to go through every aspect of it or every little ins and outs, but there are 4 cards in particular I do want us to read. First one's one of them, the 2 cards involving the transformation, and then the very last one, and then we can just kind of go over what each of the sections are about. It's broken up into these mini arcs that have kind of their own, you think of it episodically, they're very episodic in their descriptions, and Blue was so nice to actually do the breakdown of what each of those titles are. But to start us off, we'll start with Archiloquy, which is probably my favorite card in this whole book. Because
what does the text say?
Well, there's that, but it is the card that actually prompted the whole question of, is this truth or is this embellishment?
Yeah.
So, here's our colloquy. Secrets. Do you come in hope, O reader, for the secrets of my reign? A parable. In the nitrate earth, the lightning crater, where the firmament has joined in electric fury with the fundament, there lives a burrowing insect with 2 trembling antennae, thin as whiskers, long as life. A grasping hand reaches for the buried secret, finds the antenna and pulls, comes away with a single whisker, meaningless. The searcher disappointed. A wounded insect buried deeper, the secret now half blind. That which digs for truth may bury deeper lies. If you recognize my authority, then I command you to pass onward as gently as the lover passes a razor over beloved skin. If you do not, then I name you Magicept, doubter of royalty, and I suggest you watch your edge. Cut too deep and too quick, and you will kill the thing you want to know. Think too eagerly, and as the digging hand leaves its print in soft earth, you will find the image left by your own presumptions. Beware the one who feeds on truth-adjacent lies. Beware the space between reality as imagined and reality as is, for it is abundant to those with appetite. So then, the brave voyager's fate, the timeless birthing place, my Milton reenactment, the ruins made ours, the riven twice riven, the daughter's blood scabbed hard on mother's wound, all things told, all truth revealed, if through mist and mystery. If you have grace, then see our sorrows, but swallow back your tears. We were made to pay this price. I led us to our fate. Seek me in my place. Hear these whispers from the lips of queen-egged God. So, basically, I love this opening paragraph because it's just like, hey, don't overanalyze. It's Mara saying not to dig too deep and not to take everything so incredibly literally that you'll miss the whole point.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say, or dig too far into what
Yes.
into what she is trying to say, or pull at every single word, or so on. Because that's what at least what I tend to do too. I generally will look into like every single word and go from there. Which, speaking of, funny enough, they she mentions the Milton reenactment. Did you look into that one?
Oh, I understand Milton.
Okay. Well, I was.
You know
Do you
who
want
else
to-
is? You know who else is obsessed with Milton?
Go for it.
Toland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
went through, the reason I say that is I went through a lot of those collections of quotes that I'd been looking for. I managed to finally kind of hunt down a lot of them. Oh my good Lord. He quotes Milton a ton in them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, it was kind of ridiculous, actually. The first couple, I was like, oh, okay, maybe they're trying to be cute with the nod to pre-Golden Age text or, whatever. And then, like, about, like, the third or fourth time, I was like, okay, dude, stop.
I mean, he has his playbook. He's going to use his playbook.
That's true.
Just like Zavala uses his playbook and Shax has his playbook. It's just,
But the helmet stays on.
yep. And there's that reference for the evening.
That was a meme I forgot entirely about.
I almost put that on my list, but I thought I'd be nice to you for once.
Thanks.
Speaking of which, I got a message from our good friend, oh gosh, what's her name? Liz?
Mm-hmm.
With the new voice line.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm sure she messaged you too. Anyway, that's interesting. But back to the arquiloquy. The ending is the most confusing part to me. Why does she call herself the queen-egged god?
That gets explained in the end, I believe.
In The Awoken of the Reef or the end of this book?
Is it not in Palaginus 2? I thought she explains it.
It's just such a such a weird sign off.
We'll get to it. But it is also in The Awoken of the Reef. She refers to herself as that because of a lot of events that happen within The Awoken of the Reef. But Palagenesis 2 does nod to that. I believe it's and like I said, I think you said we're going to read this one. But her ending of the Palagenesis, she refers to herself as the uncrowned Ever Queen.
Right.
And then there's also the I don't think they're in a lore booklet, but the segments that explain what happened between the Taken King event or the Taken War and the showing up of the Dreaming City, when she encounters Toland and he like runs screaming and stuff like that, there is a nod to her being what is it, the Egg Queen or whatever, or queen-egged god. There's a reference to that as well. And then there's also a reference in the construction of the
Reverie Darn armor is what Dino is saying.
Okay, is that okay? Thanks, Dino. there's a reference in so there's a reference in there, and Wicked, he doesn't scream. He kind of screams and runs away. There's a reference in the Reverie Dawn, and then there's also the eggs that are spread around, that are mentioned also as being parts of the 3-week cycle or the key lock that Guardians are supposed to unlock for the Last Wish. That whole thing that whole kind of ties into this imagery of the queen-egged god. And so like this entire process, remember also that this is where she introduces the concept of catabasis, which I know we'll probably get into a little bit too, because the catabasis is also the evolution of her. She asks the question, what happens when the queen reaches the other edge of the chessboard? You know, the evolution of the queen into something more, into a minor or major godhead as well, is a really big topic for Mara in general, which is also explained. I believe I think you're calling out Cosmic Gaia, right? Mara's birth. Yeah. Okay. So in Cosmic Gaia, you kind of see that as well. You see that a lot, like really heavily, especially in the Catabasis card and the Nye. That's where a lot of that kind of starts coming to a head, and you start to kind of understand it. You actually don't get the full grip or the full breadth of Mara's quote unquote crime in the Marasenna, which is interesting for me, because her actual full crime gets fully detailed actually in the Awoken of the Reef when she confesses to Sejur.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know how you want to pronounce that, but when she confesses to her outside of one of the ships, that actually doesn't occur in the Marasenna, because the Marasenna is basically up until they come back. So yeah, I think there. It's explained, but it's explained in like a really roundabout, inference heavy way.
Right.
That Mara is 100% all about evolution. She's about intricacies,
advancing her people too.
Right. She's about the intricacies of secrecy and the undeniable advantage that complex systems have over simplistic systems, which we'll get into, I know, especially if we kind of mention the bomb logic, or the logic of the bomb as opposed to the logic of the sword. She has a really good explanation of what that is, and I believe that's also in the Palingenesis
that's at
too.
the end.
Yeah. I love her explanation of what that is, because it hits it on the head as far as what her kind of underlying psychological structure really is. But I think so. I don't know if that answers, but I mean, it kind of gets detailed throughout the various texts that we have.
It does, and it's talk about like psychological, like getting to know Mara. This whole book is a good way to start to understand at least that Mara and Aldrin have always been this way.
Yeah.
And a lot of like Aldrin has always been the way he is.
Well, and so really quick on that, I was rereading them today. I actually found it really interesting, and I was reminded of this. Mara is actually, like in Brephos, I'm assuming you're talking about Brephos as far as like when the original.
I figured we could start on that one since
definitely.
it's the introduction arc.
Right, I definitely agree. But I find it interesting because Mara in Brephos is actually the one that's arguing to go back to Earth. And Aldrin is the one that's arguing we chose to abandon them. We have no right, or they don't deserve us, basically. I find that really kind of, because it shows a degree of Mara that is not what we see in Mara Sov today, really. Like
but there is.
I mean, there's a hint. There's a hint of
Mara
it.
still wants to protect Earth, but she's not doing it the way that young Mara necessarily wanted to. She protects Earth in the way that she can.
Yeah. Well, and Mara today has experienced Guardians, whereas she, and her opinion of Guardians is pretty low.
Right.
But sorry, yeah,
So-
I just found that I did find that really interesting in the Brephos piece.
Right. And speaking of Brephos, Brephos is the very first arc. It happens before the transformation, and it is by far the most interesting. It is very counter written to a lot of the other stuff because Mara, she says cool. I picked up on it today. I hadn't picked up on it when I read through it the first couple of
Oh, yeah.
times. She uses the word cool in it. And I'm like, what? Who are you? What are you doing? But Brephos talks about some of the major characters throughout the book. Mara, Aldwin, not Aldrin yet, Aldwin, Osana, the Yang Liwei ship, which now we also know is Green. Gosh, what is the name of the? Why can't Exodus Green? There we go.
Did we confirm that?
That is in one of the later cards, I
Okay,
believe.
cool.
Yeah.
I know I refer to it as the ship spire because that's
It's
what it
in
becomes.
Cosmic Ire
Ah,
1 is where
okay.
it mentions it.
Okay.
So Brephos 1 is Mara's entrance. It depicts Mara sitting outside of the ship. The ship's name is Yang Liwei, which is kind of like this massive ship that is being slowly making its way out of the system. She's 19 years and 9 months, and she has no like distinctive race that you can tell. And she's just outside, kind of hanging on a tether, just being outside. And then we get the most hilarious description of a scene with an egg, rabbit fetus, or was it rabbit fetus or
Yeah,
rabbit egg?
the frozen rabbit fetus that
Yeah,
was the encouragement to leave.
yeah. Her
Oddly
reason,
specific.
right? Is it a Jade Rabbit reference? That was my immediate thought. I don't think it is.
Friggin' Dido. That's all.
I know, right? All the connections. But reason why Mara and her family are on this ship leaving is because of this incident with the rabbit embryo shattering the face mask of the worker that she was working with because they were repairing something, and he instantly died.
Which is better
Yang
which
Li-
is better than the suit being punctured and, succumbing to vacuum.
Well, considering Mara lets herself succumb to vacuum multiple times.
That's why
it's-
she's blue.
No.
That's why she's crazy.
She's special.
That's a nice way to put it.
Right. So Mara signs her family up to go with Project Amrita,
Mm-hmm.
which Amrita is in Hindu mythology is the ambrosia of the gods that bestows immortality. Amrita is the Exodus green ship getting out, getting away from the traveler, leaving, trying to get as far from the traveler as they can because a lot of them believe that the traveler is in some ways unhealthy for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So they leave on Yang Liwei, which Blue mentioned to me that Yang Liwei was the name of the first astronaut from China.
Yep.
Which is really cool.
There's a lot of
Didn't I-
reference there because Yang Liwei was the first astronaut from China. You said earlier about Amrita being the reference to the ambrosia, which is also similar to Ichor in Greek mythology and all that. But and the charter that they mention a lot, or at least Alice Lee, who's another character you get introduced to here, mentions quite a bit. The charter of Amrita is all about furthering humanity and
Yes.
peace and balance and all this, the stuff that the Awoken kind of embody in and of themselves is all described within the charter of the Amrita project. So, which is basically like a peaceful immortality, an immortality of the peace of such.
Mm-hmm.
You also learn that Mara is an Autarch third class, which means she is essentially like an independent contractor. She goes and finds problems, and she's supposed to report it back to an Autarch second class, but She doesn't. She goes and fixes it herself. So she's supposed to identify problems on the ship. And the other thing that Mara does that is very odd that nobody else does is she actually lives outside of the ship. She doesn't like to live inside. She lives kind of on her own. Now, she does go back inside multiple times, but she prefers to be tethered outside, just watching the blue shift happen, which is kind of cool.
She also is a bit of an
Which-
exhibitionist.
Yeah, that comes up in the next card in Brayfos 2.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry.
No,
I was like,
I
that's
think
weird. That's
a good-
weird that that was like
a
the
good segue.
big thing for in Brefos was it was like, wait, Mara's kind of a what? Like
Yeah, Mara. Well, let's talk about that. Mara and Brayfos 2. We find out that Mara has been recording these EVAs that she does, where she's tethered to the ship and she floats out kilometers away from the ship. And they have what's called cytogel, which is allowing her to essentially survive out in space. And she recalls the majority of the cytogel up to her face mask, where that is literally the only thing that is not exposed to space. And then she calls that back and she records it neurologically, which I think is interesting because that implies that there is a sort of implant already going on.
it also, to kind of interject real quick, it also explains the Ares 1 mission's ability
Yes.
to record
Yes.
everything in like high def, because if they're pulling altered carbon disc level tech at this point, it's like, I mean, now granted, this whole thing, to be fair, Brefos is taking place during the Golden Age. Like, actually, we'll find out
The
exactly.
end-
Yeah,
the end
we'll,
of the
we'll,
Golden
fi-
Age.
we'll find
When,
out exactly
yeah.
when in just a second. But it is actually after, the Golden Age has been going on for a while, and so like arguably the tech here is probably a little bit more advanced, but it does give a nod to how the Ares 1
May have.
mission could have been could have been recorded.
Well,
I
they
did like
also
that
give
nod.
they give some slight hints of that with the the Mars or the crew armor from Warmind. Remember how they say there's holograms all
The
over
Ares
the
1
tables
armor?
and
Yeah.
whatnot? Yeah. So it's not like we're in a today realm.
Right.
This is quite possibly
still in the
something that's
future.
happening like 2300 or something like that, maybe, or maybe like 2070 at the rate that we're going with technology at this point. I don't know, but you get my point. Like, it's not too far out of our distant future, but it's still kind of out there. But now the holograms in general are something that kind of like called to my attention. Something also though that really caught my eye in Brefos 2, since we're talking about her being able to handle the vacuum of space and whatnot, thanks to this cytogel or otherwise. We read actually in the first paragraph that there's also some more genetic tooling going on with humanity and how that was. Whether that is related to just Project Amrita, we don't know. But that is something that kind of calls like maybe we were playing with some stuff we shouldn't have been. But that's just another little tie back. Makes me wonder if the blue skin or otherwise of the Awoken is purely thanks to the exposure to becoming Awoken, or if there's something else going on there. But in addition to that, I've got a small theory on this person that Oldwin is fighting. I'm almost wondering if this isn't Sure.
Yeah, I've heard that one quite often. I think it makes a bit of sense.
The only problem I have with that, though, is that Jur is supposed to be really, really tall, and the myostation. If you shut off the myostation gene, myostation prevents your muscles from going too big. If you shut off that gene, it allows your muscles just to like incredibly increase. That doesn't increase your height, though. It only increases muscle mass.
Mm.
Well, I think that would also depend on when you turn it off as well.
True.
Well, and another nod to this being Sure is that, Sure was described later on as being the only one. She has what is it, the wish ender is her bow,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which only she can string, and it's only by wrapping, like literally wrapping the bow
She has to use
around
her
her
body.
body.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
she's described as being immensely strong, which I think is where a
Right.
lot of people are connecting this pit fighter and her together. And to confirm, we don't ever actually get the pit fighter's name. Isn't that correct?
No, we don't.
Right. We do not. In addition to that, we also see towards the end of this card that she is incredibly overtaken with what Mara has done out in space.
Oh yeah, she
She's
stares at her in awe.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she's
She's a
just
little
absolutely
smitten.
amazed by it. Which, if that was the tie back that they were intending, and this pit fighter is looking at Mara like that, it would be a cute little tie back to say like they've been together this whole time, but never even really realized it.
Yeah, and chat's pointing out too that it is very akin to Thanatonautics here.
Mhm.
Um,
So that kind
Dinah's
of
also saying that, but perhaps Sure and Aldrin would have remembered fighting each other before. Maybe, but to them, this could have also just been something that was like in a passing whim or passing idea. We also don't know how awake the Awoken were transformed or changed
how much
afterward,
memories they retained.
especially too considering how it is also explained. I believe it's in Cosmic Gyre. I know I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but
Mm-hmm.
Cosmic Gyre 4, Mara describes herself as being almost like pulled apart.
mhm.
And we frankly don't know how much of that is resequencing genes or changing around how she is.
Right.
So frankly, there is still that little bit that could be there that really opens up the possibility that even some body changes had occurred within some people. If they were either not in the best of shape, they had problems otherwise, etc. We frankly don't know. So that's where the speculatory idea kind of pops into it. Uh,
Right.
but again, that does also come into the ideas of how much were they able to remember, because we've already seen and confirmed memory manipulation with some of the with Savin as the ghost uh, and whatnot.
Mhm.
These are
I'm just
not,
throwing it out there. Like
but
there's
these are
plenty
not
of things that we
guardians.
know
These are
about.
awoken.
Right, but it
At
can
least Lee
still
does
when you're
mention,
talking how the distributary is built though, or what the distributary
right.
is.
But we can actually get into memory a little bit later because Elise Lee
Yeah.
does, or Alice Lee mentions that she remembers she was the captain
Hmm.
when after the transformation happens, and that I don't remember which card it is right off the top of my head. Oh, it's a Extasiate
Yeah,
1.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
It's
really
like
early
it's
on. I
right.
know.
It's right when she awakens. And I
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have to agree with Beard. The question to me is more about are are they allowed to remember?
Is Mara
Mhm.
allowing them to?
Yeah,
Is
because I
Mara
mean,
controlling the
because I
strings on
mean,
that?
I guess spoiler alert: Mara was the first. I mean, kind of a big spoiler. Uh,
Mhm.
but she allowed. I mean, that's kind of the crime is she's allowed everyone to remember things a bit of a different history of how they awoken,
Mm-hmm.
given with Alice or Elise, however you want to say it. Given that she is convinced that she is the first because she remembers being the first, and then she mysteriously remembers being the one who wakens Mara, but then we find out that Mara was actually the first. And so that
Mhm.
kind of goes back to what Beard was kind of mentioning with Savin and with the Guardians, with their whole thing.
Manipulation.
There's a bit of manipulation of information in the mind there, and so the question kind of comes up is like, is that
I don't think we have enough information to say one way or
I don't
the
think
other.
I think that is a question that is up in the air that could determine some of what the debate here kind of
Right.
is.
It's more if we somehow ever get the logs of Shipspire, Exodus Green, Project Amrita,
Mhm.
whatever we want to call this thing, Yangla Wei, it would be one of those things that we would like have to look back into to say like this is the actual ship's loggings that we have of this thing, and that's the only confirmation I think we're ever going to get out of this. Which possibility of that happening is probably slim to none anyway.
Right.
Just based on the fact that they were already starbound.
Right.
Unless we
Well,
find
yeah.
it somewhere in the Tangled Shore.
Well, but the only
Assuming
place that you would
some of that was there, or
Yeah.
is it in still the distributary, which I would argue the latter more than the former.
because I would argue that it's all still in the ship spire, and that's
Yeah.
all the basis of a lot of the distributary location is like the kind of the central capital is the ship spire.
Yep.
As we kind of, and I guess that's kind of, furthermore, but I mean, talking about the importance of the ship spire or the Amrita or whatever you want to call it, that kind of does lead us into Brephos 3. Because Brephos 3 is the introduction of Alice, the captain of Yang Wei. And, this kind of is where you kind of start getting the sense that Mara, even though Mara is a third class auturge, she is in and of herself kind of a minor figure of note. And there's a bit of a cult that follows her, and even the captain even admits that she has watched one of her recordings. She's a streamer. Yeah, she's IRL streaming is what she's doing. And this is also where you're introduced to Mara's mother, Osana. When you kind of get a really good grasp of the relationship that Mara and Osana have. It's a very not parent and child almost. It's almost two equals that are at each other. And Mara is, you start kind of getting a bit of a sense of who Mara is, like her own discomforts. For example, Mara is not a fan of being inside the captain's cabin. She's actually scared. Apparently, the idea of cow milk is disgusting to people. That was really kind of an interesting thing.
Well, cow thing.
Well, is that what it is?
They call
Is
it a cow thing in the card. It's Lee serves some very battered pre-traveler ceramic sloshing with hot green tea, then immediately adulterates her own cup with milk from the cow thing on biodeck.
Revolting, isn't it?
She calls herself out, but it's Mara grew up in space, for one. That is something you get from the original Brephos card where she talks about why she chooses to go on. She pretty much grew up in space.
Yeah, that's fair.
She may not know what an actual cow looks like.
I found that so hilarious.
Yeah, it's kind of showing her youth here too.
Right. Well, and it kind of also explains like where her influence kind of comes in. You get the definition of an auturge, which is the volunteer. Basically it's like, which it kind of sounds interesting because the captain is saying that she can't order her to stop. Is she talking about the EVAs, or is she talking about the work that Mara does for fixing?
She's talking about the EVAs.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I would lean towards the EVAs because it's basically saying like she is has been pointed out in chat, she's an influencer to some degree. Like she has some sway over how it is that she handles, but really Alice just feels like she's trying to warn Mara this entire time, like, hey, don't do anything stupid to yourself, because then all of a sudden you're gonna throw off morale for the people that care about you. So.
Well, and she also refers to Mara, and this is me kind of nitpicking, but this is another Roman concept. She refers to Mara as a house god.
Yeah.
Which is a very, very kind of it's not necessarily just Rome, but it was a very
also an Asian concept too.
Kind
I think
of.
they called it something differently.
It's not. It's more of like guardian spirits, I think, in the East. Like
Yeah,
family guardians, I think, is kind of the more. I'm not 100%. They have a similar concept.
That's correct. Just think Mulan and Mushu. Like that's
Okay,
actually very close idea to it.
The mighty
Um,
Mushu.
But they also deal
Disney
with
reference.
ancestors quite a bit differently as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So there's a few different pieces in there that you have to kind of think of.
Yeah,
But
because
yes, absolutely.
a house god is not ancestral. A house god is other. It's like, I
Right.
mean, like your Rome and your Greeks had it was a third party that was not necessarily familially related to the family that lived within the house, whereas with the East, yeah, they were all like they were literal ancestors. But like her comment here about being the house god is like she's kind of agreeing with Osana in the sense, as you will see, I think you'll see this later. Osana is kind of bitter towards Mara about how she abuses her power over people, and the captain here is saying the same thing. Is like like you are a symbol. You are, you have like it's just. And she says this, when you endanger yourself, you endanger that symbol. You are part of the mission's behavioral armor. She is something that is protecting and giving people hope, giving them a reason to, continue doing what they're doing. And as such, the captain's like, and as such, I'm invested in you continuing to, be that thing. So
This conversation actually is really important because it does come back up later towards the end of the book.
Much later, but yeah, absolutely.
Well, not to mention it kind of reaffirms Mara's entire understanding of pretty much everything. Like, I mean,
Right.
This is arguably where Mara's paradigm shifts from being, just someone who's getting things that she wants. She's now, I mean, she even says that she's like, I didn't ask to be anyone's mascot. And the captain's kind of like pushing back, and it's like, what people make of you, what they create of you, even without your consent, becomes a kind of responsibility. Right. And that's where, and she and Mara quotes that almost verbatim back at her. I think
That's
it's
in
Nye.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, you told me this. Like, you were the one who taught me this lesson. And, this is the catalyst, I would argue, of what one of the core tenets of Mara's personality kind of comes from.
Or at least help solidify that.
Right. Sorry. Yeah. It reaffirms.
The next, so that's the end of Brephos. We're through one section. We've got a lot to go.
We can do it.
The next one, oh God. Hold on to your bootstraps, guys. Next one is Cosmogire, as far as the arc goes. And Cosmogire is where we see the actual transformation happen. We see the distress call come in, and we actually learn that Yang Liwei and this fleet or ship flying out is Exodus Green. And there's a lot to unpack in Cosmogire.
I think it worth kind of almost summarizing this entire thing with just defining what Cosmogire means. It roughly means world or cosmos world, which, if you want to think back on how what happened with the Fallen, it's not far off from that. It's the whirlwind. Here it comes, everybody.
Yeah, kind of. It's just its own little thing. In Cosmogire 1, we get introduced to the fact that there is an unknown object following them, or at least toying with them a little bit. And a lot of these cards are on the flight deck between Elise Lee and her crew. And then we get a card number 2 is between Mara and Aldwin, going to basically go on an EVA during this whole breakdown, and they're going to fly out and they're going to go out to try to meet whatever is going on because they're a little crazy.
Well, it's also where they feel, where Mara, that's her comfort zone.
Yeah, she
and
feels
it's a
safest in some ways
I
out
was about
there.
to say it's a base psychological thing that if you're threatened, you retreat to where you're most comfortable, even if
Right.
it makes absolutely no sense. Like that's what animals will always do. Is if you threaten an animal, it will retreat to a safe zone.
Right.
Yeah. But I do want us to read Cosmic Ire 3 and Cosmic Ire 4 because I think these two are probably the at least the closest we've ever gotten to knowing what happened
Mhm.
for the event. It gives us a description of it. So Beard, could you read 3 and Blue 4 afterwards? And let's save the breakdown until we get through all of it because it kind of ties back into each other.
Sure.
Okay. Oh God, I forgot how long this one was.
Sorry.
It's fine. The stars have gone out. The universe blackened, a shroud of nothingness drawn over Yangley Way. Its 40,000 sleeping passengers, its 900 crew, and maybe even the whole solar system. There is no way to know because there is no way to see anything beyond the hull. The vacuum itself has become hostile to the propagation of light. Darkness surrounds them. The ship bucks on a storm sea as space-time ripples with gravity tides. Report, Captain Lee calls. Her sensorium blazes with positional telemetry from ring laser gyros, beacon satellites, pulsar fixes, cosmic microwave background texture, galactic EM field terrain mapping, every signal instrument useless, crashed, spitting nonsense. Sound off by stations. Fido, the flight dynamics officer, calls. Main engine on safe. Thrusters firing erratically. Attitude control keeps crashing to manual. Guidance. I have no position. I cannot get a vector. We're moving, but I can't tell how or where. Inco. No external comms. Internal networks are dropping in and out. An incredible sensation watches over Captain Lee. A rumble and a thrum down in her gut, in her marrow. The lowest, basest elements of her body. It is the vibration, the sound of the very fabric of her being scrunching up and stretching out. The distance between the atoms of her body collapses, then expands. The cycle repeats again and again. For a moment, she feels her fingertips and toes pulled away from her core, yanked by tidal forces. It feels like the lowest rumble of the biggest subwoofer ever built. It sounds like the deep voice of God whispering ASMR directly into her ear. It tingles, it thrills, and it leaves in its wake a subsonic tint of dread and anticipation. She shivers. Gravity wave, she says. Talk to me, Geode. The space-time geodesics officer looks like she's just been hand-delivered a Nobel. This is amazing, she crows, fully aware that she and everyone else are about to die, but transported away from such temporal concerns by scientific rapture. Can you feel that growl? We're experiencing high-frequency, high-amplitude gravity waves, phaeton strikes, axions decaying through the hull, sterile neutrinos. It's all coming from a source at bearing 045 Mark 030 relative range highly variable. Another wave tears through Yanglai Way. Everything in the ship simultaneously compresses and stretches as the gravity wave deforms the space-time metric. Is it the Phantom? Lee demands, says she, as the ship thrums sonically. Is that Phantom ship emanating these waves? I have no idea, Geode says exultantly. None of this makes any sense at all. Wow! Alice Lee has the distinct sense that something ancient and malevolent is operating upon them, a trillion-fingered hand reaching in to caress the very atoms of their beings, setting photons a spin, strumming nerves like guitar strings, a tongue with 10 billion slithering forks tasting the surface of their brains. The sense of imminent doom crescendos. She knows absolutely and utterly that what is about to happen to her and to her crew is far worse than death. The darkness knows them now. The thing that has come to kill humanity has their taste. Inko, she clings to her restraints harness as the ship growls through another wave. Her bones creak as they stretch. Last report on the Traveler. Any sign of an intervention? It was at Earth, Captain, and there were high-yield weapons discharges all over the signal. Nothing else. Understood. Well, she did not fly this far to look back and beg for salvation from an alien god. Pinned to the center of her sensorium is the blazing ledger of her crew's vote. We go onward. We do not return home. Our fate lies ahead, not behind. Launch an antennae, she orders. I want every probe and satellite we've got outside. Captain, Inko protests, the vacuum's not signal permissive. We're still passing signals internally, aren't we? Use hardline. Run filament between the satellites. I want a transmitter sail out there, and I want to broadcast. Her flight crew stares. Captain, Fido says, broadcast what? A declaration of neutrality. Alice Lee grits her teeth against another wave. It rattles her molars in her skull. Whatever's out there, it came for the Traveler. We tell it we're not part of this war. We've seceded from human existence under the Traveler. We demand to be treated as a separate species, not party to baseline humanity's conflicts. And we pray there's something out there that cares about the difference.
Dun dun dun. So that brings us to Cosmic Ire 4, which starts. She remembers everything about the moment she is born. She has gone outside the way to die in starlight. She cannot bear to let anyone see her fear or her awe at the scale of destruction or her pity for the billions of souls dying in darkness or background soul. She cannot be among the other crew as they cling to each other and whisper reassurances, not even with her mother. She cannot surrender her mystery. So she kicks off the hull on 50 kilometers of tether. But there's no starlight to die in. The darkness is absolute. Gravity waves tug on her line, pulling her back towards Yang and then hurling her away. In time, she feels another vibration in the line. Sister, the tether transmits, I'm coming out to get you. Brother, she thinks, you'll lose yourself trying to follow me. Captain Lee's voice breaks through the static, drawn out to a mumble and then compressed to a shriek. Spikes of hard radiation go through her words like bullets, spattering phonemes into eerie compression artifacts. This is the interstellar vessel Yang Luwei to the entity interacting with us. We are not involved in your dispute with the powers around this star. We are on a mission to begin a new life elsewhere. Our purpose is orthogonal to yours. We request your indifference. Mara's tether trembles with the old one's progress. She holds it in one hand and reaches out with the other, gripping the emptiness, feeling how the tides of broken space pull at her fingertips. She senses that the nothingness around her is not indifferent, that it is aware of all purposes, and that its own purpose encompasses them. It is infinitely hostile, because it must be. Suddenly, as if the void around her has just spontaneously big banged, she sees light. A point of pure white shines in cosmic distance. Not just visible luminance, her suit decomposes the spectrum, but light in the radio bands and microwave, keening, ultraviolet, a spike of gamma, a total and all-embracing radiation. It sings. It chatters. It speaks in a voice older than suns. She feels that she could furrier the voice for a century and never decompose it into its parts. It is awesome and appalling and piercingly true. Mara understands how those who die in radiation accidents must feel. A single flash of invisible power sears away all possible futures except one. She feels her soul itself has been ionized, blasted into a higher energy state. The light pierces the darkness, not like the sunrise, not like a wall or a flood, but a singular crepuscular ray, a finger of radiance that reaches out through the deepest night to touch her. It illuminates Mara, Aldrin, and Yang Luwei. It is not quite enough. It cannot vanquish the shadow. Thus Mara finds herself drifting on the edge of the light and the darkness, on the dusk and dawn gradient between the two. She feels a contest, a battle fought in equilibrium reached, not a truce but an infinite limit, like an equation dividing by zero, a collusion of two violent eternities. Mara queries Yang Luwei for telemetry, and her sensorium fills with the terrified scream of gravitational instruments. She howls too, a feral sound, ecstatic and lost, a wolf baying at the stars. She knows what's happening. Too much power has gathered here. The universe is appalled by the paradox. Nothing that has glimpsed this collision of infinitudes can be allowed to escape. The cosmos must censor its embarrassment. It must sequester the anomaly. The slope of warped space-time around them has become too steep, and now every path outward or forward bends back towards the center where light and dark collide. The definition of future has become synonymous with the definition of inward. This is why it's called an event horizon. For an object within the horizon, the path of all future things that can be done or seen leads inevitably down to the center. All events lead inward. A singularity is forming around her, a Kugelblitz, a black hole created by the concentration of raw energy. "Mara!" Uldren shouts. "Mara, you're too far out!" Mara thinks of her mother's face. She hears Osana say, "I can't watch over you like a mother would. I have to make my own choices now." She fires the detach command into the tether. Gravity seizes her. She falls forward in space and time into the future, into the mystery. Yangla Wei is behind her. Uldren is behind her. She wants to be the first.
Two incredibly deep cards
Yeah, they are.
with a lot to unpack in both.
Hmm.
I mean, first we get the basically the approaching of the darkness in Cosmic Gyre 3 and how it affects the ship and the crew with the sterile neutrinos and all of that good stuff, which granted, when we hear sterile neutrinos, anytime in Destiny we think about the Taken. Now we're getting it coming in these gravity waves, which are shaking the core of themselves. And it's interesting because they're just getting the waves, and the waves are enough to like rack their bodies. It's not even the epicenter of what's actually going on.
I mean,
What?
we're also talking that these are high pull gravity waves, and if you've ever had G-forces on your body, doesn't take much to knock you out.
Oh, it'll
And that's not even
make you
close to
sick.
Yeah, that's not even close to what these guys are feeling up in space like that. That is an underestimation for me to at least say that it's something akin to G-forces of any kind.
It also puts in perspective exactly the scope of what is happening.
Yep.
Where, I mean, these were literally insects involved in this whole argument between two. I mean, like, you know, it's like two titans are arguing, and we're just kind of like, oh, just don't get stepped on, you know, just like running around the feet of the giants and trying not to get squished.
I mean, it's to whomever at Bungie's credit that had written these couple cards out, especially that third one, talking about like how insignificant we are just to make sure that we know like how screwed we frankly were.
Oh yeah.
And it was like these things have powers over forces that we can barely comprehend. Like even right now, we don't know how singularities work or anything like that. But for something to generate wave functions that are similar to that out of nowhere is amazing. So just to really put into perspective how much I appreciate the third one and how much detail it goes into. Because the first time I read it, I was just like, okay, my space nerd is well tingled. This is good.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite parts of that card in particular is actually coming from Elise Lee at the very end, where she's basically saying the Declaration of Neutrality. She calls out essentially what the Awoken are. We've seceded from human existence under the Traveler. We demand to be treated as a separate species, not party to baseline humanity's conflicts. Right. She's essentially, dare I say it, making a wish at that point to say that, hey, we're not part of that group. Right. Now, granted, she's not actually wishing upon an Ahamkara or anything like that.
She's making a covenant. And that's what gets called out. Well, that's what gets called out later is the reason I say that. Alice says later that she says, we were granted this world by a covenant with high powers, and in that covenant, We yielded our claim to our history. We abandoned what came before, but in doing so, we cast off all our debts.
Well, and that is either knowingly or unknowingly creating
Mhm.
that covenant in a lot of ways.
Right.
Because
Oh, yeah,
for
yeah,
now,
yeah. I mean, be
like
careful what
as
you
a
wish
captain, as a captain, she's probably just thinking for the safety of her crew, just to try to save them. But as an awoken, that mindset can obviously change.
Right.
And it obviously does change in priority to what we might have thought that it meant beforehand. Now, from what, of course, Blue had just got done rattling off, that's where I think that there is some very good evidence, solid evidence of like uh, how the Awoken's brains have kind of been played with a little bit. Because now it's for a different reason than it was previously, sure, but it sounds like the entire interpretation has changed besides.
Then we get into Cosmic Hour 4, where we actually see the pulse of the traveler push back, and then the mixing of the two, which Mara actually goes out to try to reach the singularity, the aspect that is mixed.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I mean, first time I read it, I was just kind of blown away by these two cards out of all of this. It's just like, oh my god, I am watching the creation of this race, and I'm not even watching the end result. I'm just watching the beginning before anything actually happens. Just just crazy. The definition of future has become synonymous with the definition of inward, which would actually take us into extasiate. And extasiate is basically the
Oh,
very first
real quick,
moment.
Green.
Go for it.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
I was just looking over my notes. I forgot about this. Uh, Cade's journal, funny enough, actually, Treasured Island actually calls back on how he remembers the darkness and how it felt.
Mhm.
He also said that it was a force that ripped him apart.
Mm-hmm. Because I
I
remember
had
us
forgot
talking
about.
about that being potentially an explanation of being taken, too.
Yep. Yeah,
Inter-
where it was his explanation of the darkness, if you will, but to me that at least signifies a little bit more that it was something that had happened throughout the system more than it was just in this little dense pocket that was the Yangley Way or anything like that. Anyway,
Interest.
sorry about that.
No, it's
I did
okay.
want to also talk about real quick before you go too far on it. Extasiate,
Mhm.
Old English meaning to go into ecstasy, just to highlight
Yes.
what it'll go for. Carry
Yep.
on.
It is the awakening of the awoken. It in general, it is them waking up after this whole event and the very first couple of moments and the establishment of the awoken people.
Mhm.
Extasiate 1 is the awakening of Elise Lee. And I appreciate the symmetry that is brought into this. And do we have a reason for the symmetry besides the mandalas?
Mm,
Because the symmetry in the name, and then they break the
Um,
symmetry.
yeah, I kind of think the breaking of the symmetry was the point because they're in
Mhm.
balance. Because the Awoken are perfect in themselves or whole in themselves and in balance according to the verdicts. And then like it's kind of like they are simplifying / purifying the balance within them, I guess, in a
Mhm.
way. I think that's kind of like I haven't had a lot of chance to dig into it, but that was kind of this thing that struck me at first was like it's a matter of balance and it's a matter of simplifying those aspects of identification, which I mean it kind of goes back into, you know, like the concept of the naming of a thing is
mhm.
also dominion over that thing.
Right.
Um
In
yeah, so go for it, Beer.
in addition to that, to at least highlight like what a mandala is,
Oh,
I
yeah.
have it listed here as a geometric figure representing the universe in Hindu and Buddhist symbolism. Also, a symbol in a dream representing the dreamer's search for completeness and self unity. I also have it listed here, and I find this kind of an interesting little tieback. It almost feels like the Awoken are similar to the Exo with this specific tieback. It's a regular battle of gods. So for me, it almost feels like the ideas of like Deepstone Crypt and everything are not very dissimilar to what they're showcasing with like the mandalas and everything of the Awoken. One obviously is a little bit more programmed perhaps than the other, but
We also get a description in Extasiate of the distributary at the very
and
end.
yeah, well, actually for me, this one's a little bit more loaded than I think we're even making it. So we also get a part of the charter, or the Amrita charter that's in here. And I find this super interesting for a few different reasons. What we're kind of
Are you in
showcase.
3?
What's that?
Are you in 3 or 1?
I'm in 1.
Okay.
Part of the charter reads, "Sun is the cradle of life, but we cannot remain in the cradle forever." This thinking is highly akin to that of Soviet rocket science, and I'm going to butcher this. Konstantin Tsiolkovsky. His quote is more about Earth than it is about soul, however. Dead Orbit also seems to follow this this to some philosophical design or idea. But that's the first time that we really see part of the Amrita Charter in some regards. I just find it funny that the charter is still looked at as like a basis for how the Awoken are put together. But in addition to that, we have to remember what the last thing was that Alice had actually had flashing up on her sensorium, I think it's called. But that was to not go back to Earth. It was to continue to go out into space. And ironically, this idea carries onward as we kind of go through the remainder of the Marasenna. Which, as Blue had kind of highlighted earlier a little bit, how each of them, I think, looks at this idea of returning or not returning has altered and changed with that passage of time.
Yeah. Okay.
Suddenly
Sorry.
silence.
Sorry.
That's fine.
It's just the processing and typing moment.
Right.
The man, all of this card, all of these cards, the whole concept of the distributary
Mhm.
and the development of it. We also get Mara's awakening and Extasiate too.
Mhm.
Or now, fun thing, you learn that Mara was the first to be changed, but was she? There's the debate out. Was she the first to awaken? Was she the first to be changed? What is the definition? What is the fine line of it? If she was the first to be awoken, period, which she was the first, we learned that in Awoken to the Reef, then the whole card or the whole concept that Beard was talking about quite a bit earlier was between the idea that Mara planted those ideas in Elise Lee to be awoken first.
Mhm.
It's very, very manipulative before she was even before anything really settles.
Right. Backstabbing wench.
I don't like that. That's my queen you're talking about.
She's not my queen.
She's my queen.
She's not my queen.
Fine, more for me.
That's fine. You have that.
Go on. No, Mara waking up, she finds Elise Lee and they have like a little interaction together talking about how the world is developed or how long has she been there, and Elise Lee says she thinks she's been there forever. Time is very questionable at this point, and you kind of come to learn about that a little bit more as we go on in the book. Extasiate 3, and I'm going to be kind of very much so glancing over these guys because we're already
Oh.
Unless we want to do like a 3-episode deal on the Marasenna, which I am totally up for.
I've already said several times that the best way to look over this book is in 3 parts, because the way that it is broken down is early bring up of the Awoken and how they originally had passed through the mix of light and dark, and then
Mhm.
it is into the actual build up into the people of the Awoken.
Mhm.
And then finally the breakdown that basically happens within the Awoken people. It is absolutely pegged that way, and it is broken down perfectly, almost in 3 parts in and of itself. If it wasn't for the fact that it was like a 25-part book, if it was 24, it would pretty well be 8, 8, and 8 for how you could split it up.
Right. Well, if you take out the introduction, it is.
Yeah.
But if you take out the introduction, then there's not 9 parts.
Look you. We're not talking about the 9. Speaking of
Speaking
Yeah,
of
that
the
comes in-
9,
that's
speaking
the
of the
next card.
9,
That's the next card. That's the next card.
something
Bam!
I actually failed to mention.
Accidental segue.
Back in Cosmic Ire 3, we do get the listing, of course, of the numbers on the ship. We
Mhm.
find out that there are 40,000 crew that are asleep, and there are 900 crew members. So this leaves your listing at 40,900. This number is very important.
but
You will find
does
out
it?
very quickly.
So in Extagiate 3,
Mhm.
since we're there already,
Yeah.
we
Green,
learn how.
Green can attest to my freak out at this card.
Oh my god! And
Look, it's
everybody is
still-
asking me about it still.
It's still such a legend. I have so many different thoughts. on
I
this
think it's a
Oh,
red
garbage
yeah,
herring.
no,
anymore.
no.
I think it's a red herring.
Yeah.
I mean, I can honestly see it both ways.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of leaning on the same page as Green. Like, I
think
kind of
Bungie's
do.
thumbing their nose at us a little bit.
Mhm.
But okay, so Extagiate 3 talks about how more Awoken got pulled through or awoken up or were awoken themselves. 2 became 4 and 4 called out, and then 4 became 8. So they increased exponentially by calling and reaching out and pulling more people through, essentially conjuring forth by their doubling. The sleepers did awaken. And so they pulled all these people in, and then we get the council, which is really important. And I know I skipped over the number. I'm skipping it over till the end so we can talk about it at length, because I know we're going to do that.
Okay.
The council is something that is set up by Elise Lee to set up the
Verdicts.
verdicts. Thank you. That's
Well,
the word.
the verdicts were so they weren't set up to establish the verdicts. They were set up kind of to determine what they were going to do. But then they got into disagreements,
right.
and the verdicts came out as a response to the disagreements that they all got into.
It was basically people versus the claimant, if you will. That was
Right.
where
Yeah,
it all kind of
yeah.
just branched from.
Because
So
they
there
originally were going to
are-
be like, we're going to call for, or they couldn't agree, and they said they were going to call for a vote, which then leads to the verdicts being formed, which the last of which is that there is no vote. Alice is the queen.
Right.
There are 8 verdicts and a 9th. So
Or, yeah,
that,
What's that? New monarchy? What?
or the 9, what? First,
I
the
was-
people were awoken and they are immortal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to keep going past you, Beard. I'm sorry. Second, that this world was tributary of another, but it was forbidden to seek any way to rejoin the mother streams. For this reason, we'll call it the distributary. So I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit. Third, the awoken should multiply in wombs of flesh and machine, but only after most careful forecast of population and ecology, and only under the supervision of those who knew good technology, for each new child would be immortal. Fourth,
Yay, eugenics.
yeah, who's to say that they weren't already doing that before they moved
Well,
into this
I mean,
area?
fair. I mean, they are in space, so.
And Mara already had some sort of implant,
Odd
likely.
thing going on. Yeah.
Right. Fourth, that those wise and good technology should be heralded and heeded so that the technology could be preserved. They were the Utechs. Fifth, women should hold care and protection of the men and others until more could be born. AKA, there are way more women on this ship than there were men, and they're going to have to do with a little bit of population control. Sixth, that the purpose of the Awoken should be to know and love the cosmos. Seventh, that the Awoken were created out of covenant with light and darkness, but the covenant was complete, and no further debt would ever be called except the duty of the second verdict to remain on the distributary. Eighth, that the Awoken were whole in themselves and they existed in balance. Ninth, that there would be no vote, but instead Elise Lee would be recognized as queen. So basically they're like, kind of almost throw
and
it
the
all
vote,
out and make her
right,
queen.
and the vote there that they're talking about is the one that is was the entire reason for the council, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is where you also get, like, you know, the division between the ones who were awake when they were become the ones who were not sleepers and the ones who were sleepers.
Mm-hmm.
Because the sleepers seem to not remember. Well, they don't remember because they were asleep. They're trying to they're like,
What's
where,
going on?
why are we here? Like, what is going on? And you know, and so there's like 40,000 of them. That's quite a large number, and that was why the council was originally called, was to kind of like determine everything that was going on, and that led to the argument that led to the verdicts being made. So when they refer to the vote being made, they're referring to, I'm trying to find the exact quote real quick. Against her was Owome An. So Elise and Owome were basically on two opposite sides. And so Elise says that this is where that quote that I had read earlier came from. She says that we were granted this world by a covenant with high powers, blah, blah, blah. Look forward. Let us explore this infant cosmos and revel in its glories, you know, and basically we're not going back. And then in opposition, Owome, who was one of the 40,000 sleepers, kind of challenged her, and she said, no, we are the aliens here. We have to climb back up our world line, which was the ship spire. And we have to return to the mother world. And Owome actually is the one that calls for a vote between in the council. And then apparently there was a sub council with Mara, surprise, going on in secret, in which
What's
basically
that? A coven, you say?
a coven. What?
Not yet. That's not
yet.
officially made yet.
That's later. That's when we get to UTech, which is also really fascinating. But this is where Mara kind of comes in and kind of starts really kind of starting to manipulate people. But because of the disagreement between Owome and Alice, that's where the council came up with the 8 verdicts, and then they threw on the 9th verdict, which then allows Elise to make her first proclamation, which comes back and bites her in the butt.
It does.
That, what was it? That there are to be no secrets among the Awoken, which is like, I'm like, oh, bad move.
So, yeah, secrets. Society needs secrets in some ways. Speaking of secrets, you want to talk about the secret number that we've been avoiding this card?
Well, before that, real quick, actually, just leave it more in suspense. As a reminder, the majority agreed before they got to the distributary that they should leave Earth to its fate.
Yeah.
Remember that as we go along, because it seems like there's a vocal majority or a vocal portion that still cries out to say, why aren't we going back to Earth?
Well, not necessarily Earth.
Well, to at least get out from the distributary and
right.
At least figure out like where they came from. Like the Awoken are obviously, and we find out a little later on still too, very interested in their ancestry.
Not all of them, but there is a good portion that is.
And
it was enough that Alice Lee had to make verdicts.
Right. And to be fair, though, also remember that the ones that voted were not the ones sleeping.
Right.
So, 900 people voting for 40,000 when the 40,000 wake up and are like, WTF. Oh, yeah. In chat, wow, that was a really smooth trip. Hey, why am I blue? Like, it's like, it's a bit of a shock.
Right.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, yeah. And the number that awoken.
Yes. Which the breakdown is 30,111 were women, 10,295 were men, 485 were otherwise. So if you're pretty good at math, what does that come up to?
40,891.
And what was the number I gave before?
40,900. Where are the 9?
So there's 9 missing.
Yeah.
We don't know where they are.
Oh, we all know where they are.
We know where Bungie says.
Lost in
space. And to be in space. Danger.
Anyway.
Danger.
I mean,
and to be fair, I'm pretty sure that the 9 missing are the ones that were not sleepers.
Yes.
Yeah, they were part of the crew.
I'm pretty sure they were part of the crew. Yeah.
They were part of the crew.
They make that to be a very actually important piece of it because they say there were 40. I mean, look at the
yeah. The 40. They keep referring to them as 40,000. The 40,000 say this. The 40,000 say that. They call out the 380. What is it? The
891.
891. Yeah.
Different number. Yeah. Yeah. They separate the numbers, so it is very clear that something happened with some of the crew members involved. So wherever these 9 crew members were, that they were otherwise affected differently is kind of the question. Were there others that were outside, like Ultwin and Mara, that became a different fate? I don't know. I don't think any of us really know.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing, like Mara was flying towards the thing, and did something happen where the Anglo-Way was like pulled into this singularity or different spot, etc. That's the problem. Like we don't know where these 9 are legitimately, but I will say that it does fall back onto the Legends of the 9 card. So just to kind of stop backtracking on that a little bit. But that being said, yes, there's some weird pieces there. I don't know. I don't think that these are the 9, but anyway.
I just want to know if these are the 9, which one is the shouty one?
I mean, okay, we have that card that says the Awoken are the 9 are the 9 ghosts, the 9 are the blah 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 from
the
back
legends.
in D1.
Right.
Oh my god, it's just like
what if gather information check?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Play your
I still say it's just a culmination of many things, and all of those legends are true and false.
Yes.
All at the same time.
I am beginning to think that as well with as many.
Look here, multiple man.
Look, I have said this for like over a year per this point. Like over a year at this point that is exactly what's going on.
Yay!
That the 9 aren't just 9 entities, but multiple entities of 9.
Exactly. Yeah, they're not like. I said that they are the 9 ghosts. I said that they are 9 Ahamkara that survived afterward. I've said that they are 9 Awoken. There are several things that kind of fall back on this idea. But again, anyway, there's plenty of different things that kind of strapping back into this. Yes, Blue, there is only one more mind. We are only ever going to say that there's one more mind. Why? Because that one is a falsehood. So, to you, bear mind, I leave you 2 truths and a falsehood.
Oh my god, you two.
Bring me a shrubbery!
So we
I
are
don't want your plants.
halfway through this book, and we're getting ready to start some pretty deep stuff when it comes to the Civil Wars.
Right.
And the development of Mara's multiple tentacles going out and being treacherous without letting herself be known.
Well, now that image is stuck in my head.
Sorry. I would blame Beard, but I don't have a good reason to, so I'm going to do it anyway.
Continue, Green. Continue.
But
Oh,
that
Lord.
being said, I think we should actually stop this episode because we're almost at 2 hours.
This is the best spot to stop at this point because we've now established the Awoken and we've seen how the ship has been broken down. At this point now, it is now how does this civilization build itself up from like the darkness and light that has been itself. This is the absolute best point to break this up. I'll be interested to see if we can actually put the next step into just one other episode, though.
God, yeah. It would be
Yeah,
interesting if we can fit
I
it
quite
in.
frankly don't think it's going to happen because I
mean-
think even the next couple cards are deep enough. Like these are going to be here for a while. We'll be on these long enough. Anyway.
Yeah, I think we should call this one a night and then just pick up again on a different episode.
Yeah.
Blue.
That's fine.
Do you have
want to do
shout-outs?
shout-outs? Yeah, I was about to say, do you
Yeah.
guys want to do any shout-outs then? I wanted to give a big shout-out to the Knights of Ni. They are inspiration to all of us who are hunting for our own shrubbery. And this is what happens when Green blindsides me halfway through the content and says that we're going to do shout-outs.
I swear to
halfway
God, Blue, I'm going to give you a flesh wound.
No, I mean a big shout out to pretty much everyone who was with us this last week. I just appreciate all the support that you guys gave us. We still have the anniversary shirts on sale over on Teespring. We'll put the link on that for the show notes. If you guys want to grab a copy of the snarky shirt that we put out for the 3rd year, that would be greatly appreciated. And then, like I said earlier, we do have a giveaway. I promise that I am trying desperately to find the free time to put those together. I'm probably going to throw together, I think at the end of the day, I think I'm just going to throw together a Gleam giveaway, and get it done with. But I will continue to keep everyone updated in Discord as time allows. But yeah, that's pretty much my shout outs there.
Beard?
I honestly don't have a ton right now. I have been very disconnected from everything that's been going on the internet the last week here. So I don't really have too much that I can honestly think of. I guess I will say with Halloween coming up, I don't know when we'll be able to get this episode out. I think it'll be in time for Halloween, but if you're celebrating, if you're running around or anything, just be safe out there. World's a crazy place, as we all know. Just be safe and know the environments that you're in. But that being said, just have a happy Halloween, because it's my favorite holiday of the year.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. My shout out is to all the new members in Discord. There's been quite a few of you guys in the last couple of weeks, so welcome to Discord. Don't be shy to chat at people or call anybody out. Make Beard come into our side of the channel every once in a while.
I mean, yeah, just at me, because that's like the
Yeah.
best way to do it with how busy I get. It's not because I don't want to interact.
Right.
It's because I already have my own community that I'm trying to interact with.
And
And
there's
trust me, they keep me on my toes.
right. There's also a lot, like, I know Blue's also in a ton of Discords. Beard's in a lot of Discords. I'm rapidly getting into too many Discords. I have unfortunate amount muted at this point where I'm very rarely in there actively. But I am almost always lurking in FFC. So if you want to chat, just like Beard said, at me, or if you want to ask a question or just want to say hi, that is the easiest way to do it, is just at one of us, say hi. We'd love to chat with you. And welcome to the family.
Yeah, man.
All
Blue,
right,
back
guys.
to you.
All right, well, we're going to take off. And we will see you, well, it probably may be a little bit sooner than in a week if we can figure
If-
out scheduling.
Yeah.
Especially with not necessarily intending this to go longer than one episode, but we should have known
Well,
better.
hey, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We always do. So
Uh-huh.
you guys have a great week, and we will see you when we see you. With that, we'll begin to wrap the chat up. Thank you again to those over on Twitch for coming to spend your evening with us. If you'd like to join us for the live streaming of the episodes, please be sure to give us a follow over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. Links to our episode archives can be found at www.focusfirechat.com. Please be sure to email us at focusfirechat@gmail.com with any comments or questions for our team concerning the podcast, and let us know how we're doing by giving us some feedback and a rating over on iTunes as well. Also, be sure to check out all of our amazing partner podcasts within the Guardian Radio Network over on theguardiansofdestiny.com. So until next time, focus your fire and may your light shine bright.
Okay. So, scheduling wise for this, you sure you don't want to just make this like the next Destiny episode we talk about too?
I mean, we can, but the poll's already out for episode 149.
Right.
My one thing with, I guess, setting it up like that would be.
I think we should ride this and get it done with quickly, while we still have this conversation fresh in mind.
Yeah.
Because next week is going to be Bloodborne, and I'll be honest, I'm only about a fourth of the way through the information I've gathered, and it's 8 pages, so my brain is going to be. It's a great game. It's a great game, but it's very Lovecraftian, so it's very detailed in very specific, like, weird ways, and it takes quite a bit of finagling to kind of track down what's going on. So, like, yeah, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem at all breaking it out into 3 episodes if that's what you guys want, or 2 episodes,
Well, that's
however many. But
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because if we can break it down into 2, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Because then we can get another one in. But if we have to go to a third, maybe we have to use that for Friday.
I don't think we'll need to go to a third, honestly. Like,
I hope not.
if we don't spend, because we won't have Lost Lore
Mm-hmm.
in that, which Lost Lore took almost 30 minutes today.
Yeah, I gotta say that was a big bulk.
If we don't do a Lost Lore in the next episode,
and we won't
just
have
dive
community
right in,
question either.
right, and we just dive into it, I think we can do just 2 episodes for this, because honestly, I found that the fight between Uldren and Sejur, not like, it's interesting, but it's not like a ton of huge information revealed.
Right. Yeah, it's nothing. It's nothing hugely heavy outside of like personality traits.
Right.
It confirms who betrayed Alice.
Yeah.
Right, it does, but like, as far as the, like, there's not, those are 3 cards with like one major thing out of it, besides the fact that Sejur was essentially sent to assassinate Mara and her essentially make up at the end of it. But I don't think that's going to take like 20 minutes to talk through that section, is what I'm saying, unless there's a ton of debate going on. I think we can do it in 2 episodes. And timing wise, the only night I can't do it Sunday night, and I can't do it Wednesday night. Those are the 2
I don't want to do it Sunday because I'll probably be still editing.
Mm-hmm.
So Monday or Tuesday is fine with me if we want to try to do it sometime, or Thursday is always fine. That's cutting it real close to Bloodborne, though.
I am, by the looks of things, ironically, the only day I really have problems with might be Friday, but it's only because I'm closing that day. Otherwise, I open around mid-shift for other job. So
When do you
That's
open?
the only day I open is Wednesday.
Okay, so
Uh,
not record Tuesday.
I mean, I can totally do it. I don't mind because
Yeah, but
I have to open tomorrow as is. Like I fully expect that when I am on this show, I'm gonna probably have to open or do something else. So
well,
it's
if we
no
can
big deal.
avoid it,
It's no
let's.
big deal.
Well, can we record Monday night? Just make it then.
Yeah, no, yeah, I might be. No, yeah, that should be fine.
Okay.
Monday will
Okay.
be the chat flip, but
Right.
if we
You're
start
or-
normal time, then as long as we I mean, we should be fine.
Or we can even. I mean,
No,
depending on what
Monday's
time.
fine.
What time
Or sorry,
does Beard? I was just gonna ask, what time does Beard get off on Monday? Like, what time
I'm
could we start recording if we were gonna
10.
record early?
10. I'm I have a lot of stuff going on
Okay.
during the week, so 10 is really reasonable, about the only reasonable time I can start up stuff.
Okay. That's
fine.
cool. That works for me. I just want to make
That's
sure, since it's not our typical thing, if
Yeah,
we
no.
needed to move stuff around.
I'll be a little bit more content focused this week anyway, so I will be a little easier to get a hold of for silly things like this, so it'll work out.
Cool. Yeah, I think that would be good. Get that done. Because otherwise, this episode, oh my god.
As soon as we started yakking, I was like, this is going to go on for 5 hours. We
Uh-huh.
have to break this up.
Uh-huh. Easily. There's just too much good stuff in this book.
Well, and it's the same problem that I usually have with the way that anything Awoken is written. It's cryptic as shit, and it doesn't need to be
I
cryptic as
love
shit.
it. I love it. It's
Mm.
one of my favorite aspects of it.
Yeah, well, it would be.
Yeah, it really, I mean, you say that like it's a negative thing, but I grew up with a mother who is slightly cryptic. So this is right up my alley.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I am all for cryptic, just when I was reading it, it was not the best thing for me to read.
Oh yeah, like sight reading this is a nightmare, by the way.
Absolute nightmare. Like, I had to reread each and every one of these damn things for like, I think 5 or 6 times over before I really got it.
Oh, I made the mistake when I was recording to sight read some of them and try to sight read record. Oh, I ended up spending a good 7 hours trying to record all of this stuff, at least, before I finally got to
Immolation.
I like. Old school focus fire spin foil. Yeah, a little bit. There's a lot to worry, like to kind of hash out in these cards as far as spin foil goes.
That's part of the big thing is most of the spin foil involved, because there is a lot of possibility here.
Mm-hmm. It's good. It's good stuff. I enjoy it.
Nope, that's not
Yup.
what I wanted.
Why blue? What's wrong?
Why is it repeating?
Why is what repeating?
Hang on. Oh, that's why. Fix it! Yay, fixed. Okay.
All right, dudes, I'm gonna get going here.
All right.
Night, beard.
Thank you. Just give me a heads up what times we want to go.
Yep, I think it'll be I'll
Normal
shoot you.
time?
Hang on, I'll just add you to this because that's silly not to do that.
Okay.
Wicked? What are you talking about? The curse? Oh, on Blue's computer?
Hmm.
Oh god.
What?
How many episodes did the exotic armor analysis go?
Fucking hell. God damn. Yeah, that was painful.
Whoa. Whoa.
No, that was like, oh my god.
All the exotics episodes
All the
were
exotic episodes were just so painful, and like it got to a point where I was like, this is the item, go, this is the item, go, this is the item,
Yeah,
go. I'm
really.
like, Jesus.
that
what
was
am
a
I
lot
trying-
to go through. And then but you did spend an exorbitant amount of time on the last word because it's the last word.
Well, the last word in Thorn, we that's what kind of
They were
stemmed.
their
That's
own,
what
yeah.
spun into the story of your episodes, was because it was like
Right.
this, and that alone was 4 or 5 episodes of like at minimum 2 hours. Nightbeard, at
Night
least
guy.
like 2 or 2.5
Get some
hours.
sleep, hun. Yeah. I remember. I don't think I was on the Your episode. Was I on the Your episode? No.
I think you might have
One
been
of
on the later ones.
I was on the later one with Bife.
Okay,
Because
yeah,
I think Bife came on with that one. Uh,
yeah, because that
a
was the one that
worthy
we
one to
had.
take.
That's the one that we had. Justin and Bife read the card.
Yes. I was there dying in the background
I
because
think all of us
Justin,
were there, but I had in the background.
God, Justin reading as a cowboy. And Bife is just utterly like, no.
Well, Bife
Good
was
stuff.
doing the creepy,
Yeah, the
like,
Your voice.
the your voice of his. It was like, okay.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Well, here
still
I'll show chat what actually chat will get to see a glimpse. Let me see if I can figure out how to do this while I'm live.
do you want to try to screen share on Discord? And I
No,
pull up
no, I want to see what because we got about 10 people right now in chat. I want to see what their thoughts are on this. Let me see if I can. No, that's not what I want. I want to add.
Shay, was it you who said that Mara is a rave girl? Looking at her outfit on screen that Blue picked for the backdrop,
To
I
be
can totally
fair,
see that.
To be fair, that is an amazing picture. So
Oh, I enjoy that image thoroughly.
add
It's
images.
just
Yes. I want that
I
image.
can-
There we go.
I can totally see Mara being a bit of a rave girl with the finger gloves type stuff like
Mhm.
the
Add existing. No, I want a new source. Browse.
your screen is not broken. Broken.
Broken. Where did that picture go that I made?
I mean,
Oh,
if you
son of a bitch! I didn't make it yet. Hang on. Let me save
you
it.
have it in
I have
my...
it. I have it. I haven't exported it yet because I was still
you had it
working
in
on
the thread with me. I guess it wasn't the ping image though.
Yeah,
You
no, it
had
was
the
just a screen capture.
screenshot.
Doop a doop a doop a doop a doop a doop a doop. It'll take 2 seconds.
So-
Give me one.
As he's building this up and putting it together, to give you guys an idea of what he's thinking about, is he was thinking about doing streams during the week of basically the note-taking process and the breakdown process of what we do for the show before we get to the show. And you guys would be able to see the show notes as they're being made and chat with Blue. Sometimes me, I'm thinking about jumping on, or something that we had thought about. Hey, the image is on the screen.
There it goes.
Something we
Okay.
thought about is that he would be working on the show notes and I would be doing some gameplay in the background or in the upper corner. So you guys get to see the gameplay while Blue and I chat about show notes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and this is like definitely. Let me see. Display capture. Yeah. Nope. I need a new source. Oh no, not that one. The infinite loop created.
I do think that image is hilarious.
Which image?
Oh, the infinite loop.
Oh
With
God,
OBS.
freaking when you're like,
It's
do
hard to
this,
fix,
and it's
though.
like wah 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 wah. I'm like, oh God, no, my brain hurts.
You're gonna have. Yeah, Shay likes that idea.
Oh, cool.
The only problem is, Shay, that I don't know if I'd be able to play with you guys for clan night stuff if I'm on with Blue
Well,
doing
but I mean, you can.
gaming stuff.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be. I don't know how we're gonna fit that in there because that screen. That's my main screen.
Right.
That's my TV screen. So if
I mean, you could do it. You could do it by browser too, or by program.
yeah, but if I throw it on the same screen, then it's like. Because let me see.
Instead of doing the screen capture, you could do the program capture.
Well, but it would still be the same dynamics as far as like
size.
Yeah. So let me see if I throw this here. So if I do that,
just get Blue a PS4. I mean, yeah. But Blue doesn't. Blue has Halo.
Game.
Yeah, I know.
That's the it's not a hardware issue, to be honest. It's a time issue. Okay, so
GoFundMe. All
right, so see, like, then you can like. And this is just like the Google Docs that we use. So like this is the one that we were talking about today. And then I was thinking. Let's add a display capture of probably, oh no. What would that be?
I gave up on Xbox, Shay. At this point, my old raid clan actually jumped back on the bandwagon once Forsaken dropped. And by that time, I was already kind of waist deep in with Lux and Cole and you guys over with Hydra, that they messaged me and asked if I was going to come play Forsaken with them, and I kind of essentially ditched them to be with you guys. We're very
offended with that.
You're only offended because I won't come play Halo with you.
This
so
is
you
true.
can just
this is true.
You can just go.
This is an entirely true
suck
statement.
it. That's all I say.
Truly true statement.
I've never finished Halo 4. I never finished the campaign. I don't think I even got past like the first hour and a half of the campaign. I've literally put more time in Halo 4 and PvP because of you.
I know. I'm so proud of you.
I know. I'm glad.
Because then what I can do is I can throw, let's just...
Yeah, totally, Black Flag.
Nope, wrong screen. Wrong screen. Other screen. God, I have too many screens.
Are you up to 4 or 5?
Yeah, I'm at 4 now.
I don't have 4 for my computer. I only have 3 for the computer, but that's still enough for me.
What am I doing? Ishtar. That's what I was doing. So then I can do like Ishtar.
The only problem is it's incredibly difficult to read what's on Ishtar in the tiny screen box.
Right.
Unless you blow it up super big. So
well, but like this is the main screen. Oh, you can't see my cursor. Can you see my cursor?
Nope.
Here?
No.
Yeah, you can. You can see my cursor. It's right there. All right, so hang on. So this, let's do properties, capture that. Done. All right, so now you can see my cursor. So like this would be like the primary and I don't know, I'd probably like throw like the topic or whatever
in the corner or
in,
something,
like,
or across the
corner or
top.
something. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know yet. This is still a work in progress.
Yeah.
Literally, since you guys can see, I haven't even created the scene yet. I created the image, and I was like, Green, what do you think about this? And that's pretty much the involvement of...
So far. And then I suggested the gameplay
Yeah,
thing.
I'm using OBS. I don't really play much with the functionality of OBS. I don't even know what you can do with OBS.
I need to set back up my OBS because I actually unplugged my Elgato.
Use
The other
Streamlabs.
day.
Streamlabs OBS is like super amazing. Let's see. Nope. Didn't want to do that.
What'd you do?
I accidentally clicked the wrong button. No filters
see.
applied.
Can I don't have game capture turned on. I would have to plug it back in, but how do you do the screen capture with Discord? Or screen share? How do you do the screen share with Discord?
Oh, everyone can see my private chats with Green. Gonna move that over so people can't see it.
It's like, can they see that? Because a lot of times they have that blocked out, right?
I turned that off because that's annoying shit.
I see.
Okay, so what we do is we would start video.
Do we do video stuff? I actually don't have my webcam even set up right
fine.
now.
That's fine. So then you do turn on screen share, and you can say which screen you want. If you want to do, like, I think the only thing that you can't do without Nitro is frame rates above 30, which, whatever. And then you can't source or 1080 quality it.
I see that,
the
yeah.
entire screen. But you can do, like, sound, you can do all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's, and if worse comes to worse, then you can also do, it's not as clean, but you can do, remote desktop functionality. Yeah, see? Oh yeah, OBS and Elgato with a Mac. Good effing luck with that, dude.
Ouch.
Macs are really bad as far as getting the OBS to cooperate.
So, okay. And then you could just port the
theoretically what I could do is then take that and port it from a screen grab, so that instead of this screen they would see whatever portion of the screen we want to do. So if you were like projecting
the game image
or streaming it
onto
this screen, as long as you're able to capture it on the screen that's plugged into the computer, then I can theoretically pick it up from that screen and display it on my side as well. Okay. Like, technically speaking, we can even do this while both of us are playing, and they can see both sides of it. Like, this is basically a poor man's version of a dual computer in the same location. Like, who is it? Who are the streamers? The Lucky and Butt Wipe. How they have it set up. This is basically a over internet version of what they do with multiple computers in the same, because I think if I remember right, they're in the same physical location.
Yes, they live, or they used to at least live together.
So yeah, it's Of course, now I have to figure out how to get back to the OBS. There it is. Yeah, Macs are great for music production and visual graphics, and that's where the list ends. Okay. And for costing a lot of money.
Well, when are you planning on doing this kind of stream?
I have no idea. It was like literally this was an idea that I just had today. Because I
Okay.
was just like, I was playing around, I was doing something, and I was like, it would be really cool if we could figure out a way to like
Because I kind
to
of have
encourage
done
people to
this.
help,
Yeah.
help us like actually build the notes. And this would be the easiest way, is because we could have conversations. And it's just one of those things
Right.
where this would actually, it would I think it would be kind of cool, because to me, one of the biggest struggles that I have when I'm playing a video game is I'm not very chatty, like with chat. Like, I don't just chat. I like, if I'm saying something, it's usually because I'm telling someone something about the game.
Right.
And I understand that that's not really entertaining to people. And it's not like my gameplay is that stellar. So it's not a matter of like, oh, you're coming here for gameplay. No, you're not. Unless you're watching me fight a bear, and then you're coming to watch me scream and rage. But
Only trolls.
this is something that, like, I like, I mean, just, geez, I mean, I'll pull up let me, real quick, I'll show you what I was working on with Bloodborne. So this is, for example, what I have for Bloodborne. And this is something that I was thinking about, like, this is a lot of the stuff that I have so far. This is basically summaries of the different aspects of the game, breakout of the game, my call out for an ideal vacation spot for Justin, because of the snakes.
Right.
This is, and this is also like, yeah, it'd be like a live Reddit. I mean, this also kind of shows, like, how I take a lot of this information for the games that I don't play. I mean, I'll be completely 100% honest. A lot of this information is taken from the wiki, which is upheld by a lot of the fan base of the game itself. The Bloodborne wiki is very good. God of War 1 was amazing. I'm trying to think of the other one that we did recently. But like, so like, to me, a lot of this stuff is like, this would show people. I was doing something, or I was watching something, and they made a comment about like talking to people during stream about how to do research, like if you do like stuff like that. And I was like, that's a really good point. Is we all
Well, we were talking about that as far
was
as
that what is that?
Guardian goes.
Okay, that's
Because
what
I
it was.
mentioned
Okay. God,
doing a panel.
this is where my brain goes at the end of the week, is I mix everything up with
That's
everything.
okay.
But anyways, that you mentioned that, and that got me thinking. I was like, one of the cool things that would be about this is like, this would help not only kind of fact check for those who are really passionate about a particular aspect or a particular game, but it'd also be like something where it's like, okay, you can explain, you can actually have in-person explanation to what's going on, like the reason why. And it kind of gives people a preface of like what we're going to be looking at. And, I was talking to someone earlier today. They're doing a lore podcast in another country. And so, they're doing it in a different language and all that stuff. And it's like, it's just one of those things again, where it's just kind of, talking about, well, how do you set this up, and how do you set that up, and all that.
Right.
So this would, I think, be a really cool, and it's not like, I mean, most of the stuff I'm going to try to transpose over to the site anyways, as part of the extra lore notes, which is what we did with, if I can remember, 'cause I think I did that, right?
God of
Didn't I?
War?
Did
Was
I
it
do
with
that
God
with?
of... No.
I thought it was.
It's
No,
before
it
God of...
was Cyberpunk.
Right.
So like with
2077.
Cyberpunk, with the website, we have this, and then I think, didn't I? All right, expanded notes. I basically did the same thing here, like with all the
Timestamps and everything.
well, the timestamps I have in the basic notes, but like for the expanded notes, I basically took what I had typed up, all the documents that I had typed up in Google Drive, and I just transposed them over, and I reformatted them a little bit so that it made more sense here. But I mean, like, this is like, God, like I think this was close to 9-10 pages of information that I had managed to condense out of wikis and different other places, and so we had put that there, and I know a lot of people kind of like that.
Right.
You know, if we get to a point where, for example, like the Destiny timeline, you know, I built that out. You know, I can use this type of thing to kind of like check base, you know, hey, what do you guys think? Where do you think this should go? Where do you think this should go? You know, and all that. I've been talking to Pins. I'm going to try to put together one of these for the Halo timeline, which is, oh God, that's going to be a pain in the ass. And then I really want to well, the problem with this particular program is that it's really good, but it requires dates. And so like for Destiny, that was a challenge because I'm like, I don't know the dates. Like I just kind of had to guess, which is where, you know, you get into like here where it's like, I'm like, I don't know. Sure. Golden Age started at like 2100. Yeah, that sounds like a great point. You know, I don't know. But for Halo, we have exact dates. The problem is with the Forerunner timeline, if we include the Forerunner timeline, it starts 20 million years in the past.
Right.
So and the problem with that is that this part of the timeline piece scales. So if I start, if I start 20 million years in the past and I detail out all the stuff that happens, that's all great and it will work great. But then as far as visually, it jacks up humanity because humanity is obviously just a speck on that timeline.
Well, that's a good perspective to keep in mind. But what if you did separate timelines for Halo?
Yeah, and that's where I've been trying. That's my biggest hang up right now with the Halo thing is like trying to figure out how to, if I were to do 2 separate timelines, how do you present the Forerunners? Because do you then say, okay, Forerunners will just start on year 0 just and call it good? Or do I actually go back, you know, because this is based on our time and, you know, it's just a couple. I just need to sit down with Pins and figure out how to best do that. But then the other one that I want to do with this program is I also would like to do an Elder Scrolls timeline. But again,
which is also quite massive.
Well, the problem
not nearly as bad as
the problem with the Elder Scrolls is actually compounded by the fact that their calendar doesn't sync up with our calendar. There's a very slight difference in their calendar, and then also their years are completely different. But like, it's just a matter of like, you know, me getting over the fact that I don't like my dates not matching what I think it should be. So, but yeah, but I mean, like, again, all this stuff, you know, you can see, like, you know, for instance, this particular thing is driven where'd my screen go? It's driven entirely off of, show you guys real quick. Driven entirely off a spreadsheet right here. And so this spreadsheet is what drives all that. And so, like, you know, again, finding the information, getting all that stuff filled out, you know, it's not a matter, it's not super difficult. It's just a matter of getting it all in the format that it needs to be, you know, presentable in. But yeah, so that's what I've been kind of trying to figure out is the best way to kind of, you know, again, kind of just show what all is going on behind the scenes, you know, kind of help encourage and help, you know, explain why sometimes I seem as insane as I am.
I mean, you are a little insane.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, yeah.
You keep good company in that fact that Beard makes you look so much more sane.
Well, and then there's also the fact that I've been playing with the fact that we don't have a mind map of the current entries for Destiny 2. Like, the entire mind map. And it's bugging me because there's so many I think there's so many
It's
connections
hard
that are
to
getting.
arrange.
Well, it is. It is because in order to arrange it, we'd have to come up with some system to arrange it in. Like
And we
I
would
know that
break
seems
mind map again. That's the other
well,
thing.
yeah, that's the other major problem is I don't want to break mind map again because because I've done it now 3 times I think or 4 times
Mm-hmm.
between Osiris mind map, my other personal mind map that I was doing for Imperial, and then there
My
was
giant mind maps
yeah,
of
you had
breaking.
one. You have one that broke it, and then
I have a.
my Destiny Grimoire project that I was trying to
Mm-hmm.
do. Like, yeah, I've completely broken that site so many times just because of and I didn't even put information. I was just like that was just like points.
Entries, yeah.
So I need to figure out something with that. But I mean, like this is nice for like visual purposes, but I don't know. Like I just got to figure out because the other thing is like looking on Ishtar is great, but the one downside to Ishtar is that it does a really good job of giving you search results, and it gives a really good job of giving you release results, but it doesn't give you a good job of showing you the options available. Like,
What do you mean options available?
so like if I load up on the so for I'll just move this over here real quick. So for for Marasenna, right? If I know what the term that I'm looking for is like Elixni, like I know that's gonna give me all this stuff. This is amazing. This is a perfect site for this particular piece. However, what I want to know is, what I would like to see is something that's
It doesn't have Elixni within the text, but is still related?
no,
Because they kind of do that.
yeah, kind of. Let me see if I have. I think I tried to start something. So like this is kind of like an organization of it. That's not what I was hoping for. Let me see. Doop. That's my no.
Hey, Angel.
Hey, Angel. I don't think I have one built just yet, but so let's just throw something together real quick. This would be kind of an example of the stream that I'm thinking of.
You can do a night vision version of Mind Master?
A what?
Huh. The dark version?
Oh yeah, I always
didn't know
do dark
that.
vision. So like whatever. I don't want to do anything but here, but like my problem with MindMeister is that like you have I don't know entry 1. Nope. Blah blah blah. First off, I absolutely despise the default model. But like, so what I was thinking is like you have basically a table of contents, but it's similar. Basically, it's similar to what Kex was doing with the Lorg chart for Destiny 1. Except I would want it to be like more simple. I don't know. Like it's I'm still like this idea is still percolating, to be honest. But like an idea of, like these cards involve this particular individual and like in a show of what the options are, because that's my biggest problem is like right now, it's great that we have the search function of Ishtar, but if I don't know what I'm looking for here, I'm like, if I'm just on here, I'm like, okay, like I'm like, I'll go to releases and it's like, okay, cool. This is this. I'm like, I don't know what any of this means. Let's go here. It's like, okay. It's just, to me, it's like, it's a little bit that particular piece to me, I think it would be nice to have something that's kind of like almost like a table of contents or a
Anthology.
yeah, almost an anthology. And I just,
Index.
index, yes. But I have to figure out, I just need to play with my brain and figure out a way to make it where it's not overwhelming. On top of everything else that I'm doing.
Right. All the projects.
Yeah. But, I mean, so yeah,
Ooh,
that's
chest.
just, that's
Sorry.
kind of where, I don't even know where this thing went. Where did this new mind map go? My new mind map. You're getting deleted.
Ow. Stop it, meanie. Oh, it's a taken.
Yeah, because I think this was originally the timeline idea that I was trying to do. Yeah. Yeah, I managed to update that. I forgot that I did that the other day. But yeah.
Gonna yell at Phil about it, Shay? About Ishtar? Oh god, he's done so much on that site already.
He does immense amount of work.
I am super proud of Uni for how much he's been able to update that website. When he told me about the release breakdown,
Oh yeah.
I may have almost cried at him because that was something that I wanted so badly, was to be able to see things by release.
I need to update that link.
Okay. I'm going to go to bed, I think.
Yep.
He's your hero. Yeah. Uni is the hero we don't deserve, but we got because he is awesome. But yes, bedtime. I have to go to a Halloween parade tomorrow morning. Didn't really want to go to, but being made to go to.
It's a hard life you live.
I don't want to go. I want to sleep. It's my only day to sleep in. But yeah. I've not actually played with Uni before, Shay. He's on Xbox, which is part of the problem right now. But
Yeah, Green's kind of anti-Xbox.
hey, I'm only anti-Xbox because most of the people I play with are on PlayStation now. So, But you have a good night, chat.
All right, chat. You guys have a great night. I'll keep you guys all apprised of what's going on with the idea there that I was having in Discord. But yeah, you guys have a great night. We will see you. I believe we're going to try to do a Monday night stream for the wrap up of the Marasenna information. But yeah, have a good one. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.